Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're taking a fascinating look under the hood of the English language itself.
Yeah, we've got this really rich collection of C1 and C2 level vocabulary.
Exactly. The kind of words you might bump into in advanced exams like IELTS, TOEFL, PTE.
All pulled from a YouTube transcript, which is interesting.
It is,
Yeah.
but our goal isn't just, throwing definitions at you.
No, definitely not. We want to really explore these words,
Think of it like extracting the essential meaning, yes.
but also understanding how they work, how to use them, and hopefully make them stick.
Exactly. We know a long list of advanced words can feel, well, a bit daunting sometimes.
For sure.
So we're aiming for accessible, maybe even, dare I say, enjoyable.
Let's hope so.
I want those sort of aha moments, where you see how these words fit.
Right.
So let's dive right in. First word on our list is consensus.
Consensus. Okay, so at its core, this means a general agreement within a group.
Right. When everyone sort of comes together on an idea.
Pretty much. The example we have is there is a growing consensus about the best approaches for reducing carbon emissions.
And that word growing is interesting, isn't it?
It really is. It does a lot of work there. Consensus isn't usually instant,
No, it suggests a process, like agreement being built over time.
Precisely. Think about climate science, for instance. There were debates, different interpretations.
Right.
But as more evidence came in, got analyzed, that consensus grew stronger.
So it's not passive. It's actively developed through discussion and evidence.
Exactly. Weighing different perspectives.
Okay, that makes sense. Next up, retain.
Retain. This means to keep something or continue to have it.
Synonyms like maintain or keep up.
Yeah, those work. Our example is if we want to retain youthful vigor, we have to exercise on a regular basis.
Okay, so it implies an effort, right? Holding on to something you might otherwise lose.
That's a great way to put it. It's not just having something, it's actively keeping it.
Like trying to retain information for an exam.
Exactly. Or a company trying to retain its customers. There's often that sense of holding on to something against maybe a natural tendency to lose it.
Got it. Okay, moving on to contemporary.
Contemporary. This refers to something existing or happening at the same time.
Or just belonging to now, the present day.
Right. The example. We have been experiencing new trends and cultures in our contemporary society. It really anchors us in the here and now.
It does. Makes you think about what's happening right this minute, shaping our world.
And contemporary society itself is always, changing.
Yeah, what felt contemporary 10 years ago.
Might feel pretty dated now. It highlights how fluid things are.
Good point. Okay, next is a word that sounds like a miracle cure. Panacea.
Ah, panacea. Yes, it's something believed to be a remedy for all problems or illnesses.
A universal cure, a magic bullet.
Exactly. The example. It is believed that music is the panacea for all kinds of depression and illness.
The key there is believed, isn't it?
Absolutely, because let's face it, you rarely find something that truly solves everything.
It's that human desire for a simple fix, I suppose.
It is. We've always been searching for that magic solution, haven't we? From elixirs to, other things. But real solutions are usually more complex.
More nuanced, yeah. Okay, our next word, concentrate.
Concentrate means to focus all your attention on something specific.
Like pay attention or focus intently.
Right. And the example gives a really vivid image. In the dry season, animals tend to concentrate in the areas where there is water.
Oh yeah, you can picture that clearly, all gathering together.
Exactly. It's about that drawing together towards a focal point, driven by need. Not just being there, but actively focusing presence.
An intensity of focus. Okay, let's move to a word with more social implications. Underprivileged.
Underprivileged describes those lacking the essential things for a comfortable life. Disadvantaged.
Deprived of basic opportunities, perhaps.
Yes. The example is interesting. Many affluent people in this community come from underprivileged backgrounds.
That's quite a contrast. It reminds you people's starting points can be so different.
Yeah, precisely. And someone's current situation doesn't always tell the whole story, does it?
No, definitely not. It adds a layer of depth. Okay, next, analogy.
Analogy. It's basically a comparison between things that have similar features.
Often used to explain something complicated, right?
Yeah.
By relating it to something familiar.
Exactly, like drawing a parallel. The example. He drew an analogy between running the economy and a housewife's weekly budget.
Yeah, that's a classic way to try and simplify things. Make the abstract feel more concrete.
Absolutely. Analogies are powerful tools, but you have to be careful.
How so?
Well, they highlight similarities, but the comparison might break down. It's rarely a perfect one-to-one match.
Right. Helpful, but not foolproof. Got it. Next word is align.
Align. This means to arrange something in the correct position or order, or bring things into agreement.
Like coordinate or
Yeah.
synchronize.
Yeah. The example, all the schools had to align their programs with state requirements. It speaks to systems working together.
Making sure different parts are aiming for the same goal, basically.
Exactly that. In organizations, alignment is, well, it's crucial for things to run smoothly. Cohesion.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, now let's consider reminiscent.
Reminiscent. Describe something that makes you remember something similar. It sort of evokes a past feeling or memory.
Often linked to nostalgia.
Often, yeah. The example is lovely. It is known that the simple blue cornflower is reminiscent of summer meadows.
Oh, that does paint a picture. Triggers a sensory memory almost.
It really does. Reminiscent has that power, doesn't it? Transporting you back through a smell, a sight.
Yeah.
That this reminds me of. Feeling.
A strong link to the past. Okay, our next word feels very modern. Ubiquity.
Ubiquity, right? This refers to something being, well, everywhere at the same time, widespread presence, omnipresence.
Like the example says, digital communication has been gaining popularity and ubiquity all over the world.
And hasn't it just? It's hard to imagine life without it now.
It really is. It's so woven into everything we do.
Precisely. And that ubiquity has had just profound impacts, social, economic, cultural, connecting people in ways that were, frankly, unimaginable not long ago.
A defining feature of our time, for sure. Okay, moving on. Supervise.
Supervise. This means to observe and direct someone's work, oversee their activities.
Make sure things are done correctly.
Yeah.
Synonyms like oversee or monitor.
Exactly. The example. The UN has supervised the distribution of aid by local agencies in the disaster areas.
Which highlights a really crucial role, especially when accountability is needed, like disaster relief.
Absolutely. Supervision provides that oversight, ensures tasks are done effectively, follow guidelines, especially in sensitive situations.
Crucial. Okay, next word is about timing. Timely. Timely. Describe something happening at the best possible moment. Well-timed. Opportune.
Right. The example. The incident served as a timely reminder of how dangerous our environment can be. It emphasizes the impact of when something happens.
Yes, like striking while the iron is hot, perhaps. Delivering a message or acting when it will have the most effect. Yeah, a timely intervention can make all the difference. It's about maximizing impact by aligning the action with the moment.
Timing is everything sometimes.
It really is. Let's look at amendment next.
Amendment. This is basically a change made to an original document, often to improve it or to update it.
Like a revision or modification.
Yes. The example. The new amendment will remove the inconsistency between the two laws, so it highlights refining existing rules.
It's about adapting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Improving what's already there, keeping things relevant and consistent.
Exactly. Amendments allow for that flexibility, addressing unforeseen issues or reflecting changing values.
Important function. Our next word, utilize.
Utilize means to use something for a specific purpose, making practical use of it.
Employing or harnessing resources.
Yeah. The example is historical. The Romans were the first to utilize concrete as a building material. Shows innovation, really.
Finding that practical application for something, that's often where real innovation happens, isn't it?
Absolutely. Utilize really stresses the functional side of using something, putting it to work.
Foundational innovation, that one. Let's move to skeptical.
Skeptical describes having doubts, a questioning attitude about whether something is true or useful.
Doubtful, maybe distrustful.
Those fit the example. They are skeptical about how much will be accomplished by new legislation. It encourages a critical eye.
So not just accepting things automatically, asking questions, looking for proof.
Exactly. A bit of healthy skepticism is, well, essential for critical thinking. Evaluating claims carefully.
Healthy skepticism, yeah. Often a good thing. Our next word, contradiction.
Contradiction. This happens when two or more ideas or statements clash. They're opposed to each other. An inconsistency.
Like a conflict or a paradox.
Right. The example. These consequences are in flat contradiction to the theory of popular science. Identifying these is key for logical thinking.
It's about things just not adding up logically. An inherent clash.
Precisely. Spotting contradictions helps us find flaws in arguments or inconsistencies.
Helps keep things straight. Okay, let's look at unleash.
Unleash. This means to let something powerful happen or begin, releasing a force or potential.
Like launch or trigger.
Yes, the example looks forward. The company is intended to unleash more sophisticated financial products in Japan. It conveys potential impact.
You can almost feel the energy in that word, can't you? Something new and significant being set free.
Exactly. Unleash often implies releasing something with potential for big change, a product, an idea, even a force of nature.
A powerful word.
Ah.
Next up, vivid.
Vivid describes something that produces really strong feelings or clear images in your mind. Lifelike, graphic.
Right. The example is about art. The artist was known for his vivid paintings that were distinguished by their colors. Appeals to the senses.
Absolutely. Colors especially can make something incredibly vivid, can't they?
They really can.
Right.
Makes it stand out, creates a lasting impression.
Yeah, a vivid description or image engages our senses, makes strong memories, brings it to life in your mind's eye.
Creates a strong mental picture. Definitely. Our next word covers a huge span of time. Millennium.
Millennium. Simple enough, a period of 1,000 years. A significant epoch.
Right. The example is broad. The book describes the changes that have occurred over the last millennium. Gives a vast perspective.
It really puts things on a grand scale, doesn't it? Thinking about history in 1,000-year chunks.
It does. Allows us to see those long-term trends, transformations across centuries.
Gives a broader understanding.
Puts things in perspective. Let's consider a word suggesting careful planning.
Orchestrate.
Orchestrate means to design or organize something complex, usually with careful planning and coordination.
Making multiple parts work together smoothly.
Exactly. Like synonyms coordinate or manage. The example highlights strategy. Their victory was a result of their intensely orchestrated election campaign. Implies meticulous planning.
Like a conductor leading an orchestra, right? All the parts working together.
Precisely. Orchestrate suggests a high degree of planning and control, making sure all the different bits work together for the desired outcome. It's just a lot of behind-the-scenes work. Okay, next is something hard to believe. Far-fetched.
Far-fetched. Describes something difficult to believe, unlikely to be true, unrealistic, improbable.
Right. The example involves a story. The alien story published in the newspaper seems to be far-fetched and unreal. Encourages questioning plausibility.
It's that feeling of, that's a bit hard to swallow, isn't it? Stretching belief.
Yes, definitely.
Far-fetched suggests it's pretty far from what seems likely or realistic, maybe even fantastical.
Important to spot these days. Let's look at dissemination.
Dissemination, this is about spreading something widely, especially information or knowledge.
Like broadcasting it or distributing it.
Yes. The example highlights shared learning. With encyclopedias, we can disseminate a wealth of information to all students. Underscores accessibility.
Making information available to lots of people, that's crucial for education, for progress, isn't it?
Absolutely. Effective dissemination gets knowledge to those who need it. Fosters learning, awareness.
Essential stuff. Our next word is about prevention. Deter.
Deter means to prevent someone from doing something, maybe through fear or doubt. To discourage them.
Synonyms like discourage or dissuade.
Right. The example is economic. The increasing amount of price is deterring many young people from buying houses, shows a common effect.
It's about creating a disincentive, isn't it? Making the downside seem bigger than the benefits.
Exactly. Deter implies that the potential negative outcomes or costs act as a preventative.
A familiar situation for many young people. Okay, let's move to clever language use.
Witty. Witty. Using words in a clever and funny way. Quick-minded humor.
Humorous, sharp-witted.
Yes. The example gives a taste. She made jokes at the teachers and had witty comments that were a little saucy. Highlights language as entertainment.
It's about being quick, using language in an amusing, intelligent way, like clever comebacks.
Precisely. Wit often involves that playful use of language, seeing humorous connections quickly.
A good sense of humor is always welcome. Our next word can have serious legal consequences. Accusation.
Accusation. A claim that someone has done something wrong or illegal, often without proof yet.
Like a charge or allegation.
Right. The example really underlines the gravity. Making a false accusation that led to an innocent person going to prison highlights potential injustice.
Wow, yeah. A serious claim with potentially devastating results. Shows the weight of words, the importance of truth.
Absolutely. An accusation carries huge weight, impacts lives, reputations, underscores the need for fairness, due process.
A stark reminder. Next word involves belonging. Affiliate.
Affiliate means to officially connect or associate yourself or your group with another larger group.
Like associate or join.
Yes, the example is about requirements. It is mandatory for all youth groups to affiliate with the National Youth Agency. Explains formal ties.
So forming an official connection, becoming part of a bigger structure.
Exactly. Affiliation often implies a formal agreement, maybe shared goals or interests.
Establishes a clear link. Our next word relates to fairness and good sense. Reasonable.
Reasonable. Describes something fair, sensible, based on good judgment.
Synonyms like sensible or fair.
Right. The example is about value. The beauty company sells a wide range of cosmetics at a very reasonable price. Discusses fair value.
It's about finding that middle ground, isn't it? Something fair and logical in a situation.
Precisely. A reasonable approach or a reasonable price suggests something balanced, justifiable.
Something we all appreciate as consumers. Okay, next is a bit more abstract, about randomness. Arbitrariness.
Arbitrariness
Yeah.
refers to being based on random choice or personal whim rather than reason or a system.
Randomness, capriciousness.
Yes. The example raises concerns about justice. Federal court representatives were suspected of arbitrariness and personal bias, emphasizes the need for impartiality.
So the opposite of fair and systematic. Decisions based on chance, not logic.
Exactly. Arbitrariness undermines fairness, predictability, especially where impartial reasoned decisions are crucial.
Crucial for trust. Let's look at evolve next.
Evolve means to develop gradually over time, often through changes.
Develop progress.
Right. The examples from nature. A significant number of flowers have evolved for remarkable means of insect pollination. Illustrates natural adaptation.
It's about gradual transformation, adaptation over generations, a constant process of change.
Absolutely. Evolution's fundamental, isn't it? In nature, in societies. Ongoing adaptation and development.
A beautiful example from nature. Our next word describes something illogical. Absurd.
Absurd, ridiculous, or completely unreasonable, lacking logic or good sense.
Ridiculous, nonsensical.
Yeah. The example points out flawed policy. It is absurd to cut taxes without offering another way to raise money. Highlights inconsistency.
It's that feeling of something being utterly illogical, maybe even laughable because it defies common sense.
Precisely. An absurd situation or statement clearly contradicts reason or accepted norms.
It just doesn't make sense. Okay, next word can have negative vibes. Manipulation.
Manipulation refers to controlling something or someone cleverly, often unfairly, for your own goals.
Like control or exploit.
Yes, though the example is neutral. The system was designed to organize and manipulate large amounts of data. But you're right, the negative connotations are common.
Yeah, context is key. It can be neutral, like handling data, but often implies underhanded control.
Exactly. While it can mean just handle or operate, often it implies influencing someone unfairly for personal gain.
Context is everything there. Let's look at fabricate.
Fabricate means to invent or create something, often a falsehood, to deceive someone.
Invent or falsify.
Right. The examples from spying. The spy has fabricated a new identity to blend into the community and go unnoticed. Highlights creating something untrue deliberately.
It implies making something up that isn't real, often to deceive.
Precisely. Fabricate suggests the intentional creation of something lacking authenticity or truth.
A deliberate deception. Our next word has a positive outlook. Sanguine.
Sanguine. Describes being optimistic and hopeful about the future, having a positive outlook.
Optimistic, hopeful.
Yes. The example offers a note of caution, though. Although the economy is looking better, we should not be too sanguine about the future. Encourages balance.
So positive, but maybe realistic. Not letting optimism ignore potential problems.
Exactly. A sanguine attitude is positive, but the example reminds us to temper it with, maybe a little caution, awareness of risks.
A healthy dose of realism. Okay, next word involves watching closely. Surveillance.
Surveillance refers to close observation of a person or place, often secretly, especially if they're suspected of something.
Monitoring, observation.
Right. The example is law enforcement. The perpetrator was arrested after being kept under constant surveillance. Discusses monitoring.
Keeping a close eye on someone or something, often for security or investigation.
Precisely. Surveillance involves systematic, often discrete observation for a purpose.
Often used for security. Our next word describes using fear to control.
Intimidate.
Intimidate means to frighten someone to make them do what you want.
Scare, threaten. Yes. The example highlights its ineffectiveness sometimes. Attempts to intimidate people into voting for the leading party did not work. Suggests it doesn't always work.
It's using fear as a tool, but as the example shows, it can backfire.
Exactly. Intimidation aims for control through fear, but it can be ineffective, even lead to resistance.
Sometimes they fail. Let's look at sparking interest.
Intrigued.
Intrigued describes being very interested and curious about something.
Fascinated. Curious.
Yeah. The example is personal. When I studied weaving, I became intrigued with natural dyes and coloring. It makes you think about your own moments like that.
It's that feeling when something just sparks your curiosity, makes you want to learn more.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
To be intrigued is to have your interest strongly aroused.
A great feeling. Our next word relates to advantages. Privilege.
Privilege refers to special rights or advantages that only a certain group has.
Advantage, benefit.
Right. The example's about work. The senior staff enjoys certain privileges such as company cars and health insurance, discusses unequal access. It highlights that some people get benefits others don't, often due to position or status.
Exactly. Privilege often reflects existing inequalities in a society or organization.
Highlights disparities. Our next word is about weighing importance. Outweigh.
Outweigh means to be more significant or important than something else.
Surpass. Exceed.
Yes. The example encourages practical thinking. It is practical to ask whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, emphasizes weighing pros and cons.
It's about comparing the relative importance or impact of different things when making a decision.
Precisely. Determining if something outweighs another involves assessing their significance.
A crucial part of deciding things. Our next word describes being susceptible to harm. Vulnerable.
Vulnerable describes being susceptible to physical or emotional harm or attack.
Defenseless. Exposed.
Right. The example focuses on awareness. Autistic people are particularly vulnerable members of our society. Promotes empathy.
It's about recognizing when people or groups are more easily harmed and need more care or protection.
Exactly. Recognizing vulnerability is crucial for empathy and ensuring support.
An important point. Our next word looks to the future. Successor.
Successor. A person who takes over a position or role after someone else.
Heir. Replacement.
Yes. The example connects to our future impact. It is evident that we are regulating our future and that of our successors. Discusses legacy.
It's about the idea that our actions now affect those who follow us.
Precisely. The concept of successors reminds us of our responsibility to future generations.
Long-term consequences.
Yeah.
Our next word is about stopping something.
Halt. Halt means to stop something from continuing or progressing.
Stop. Cease.
Right. The example highlights prevention. We therefore need an independent system of open government to halt corruption. Emphasizes stopping negative trends.
Bringing something to a standstill, preventing it moving forward.
Exactly. To halt something is to bring it to a complete stop.
Necessary sometimes. Our next word describes a lack of depth. Superficial.
Superficial. Concerned only with what's obvious or apparent, lacking depth or real significance.
Shallow. Trivial.
Yes. The example highlights a contrast. Despite their superficial similarities, the two sisters are in fact very different. Encourages looking deeper.
Judging things just by how they look on the surface.
Precisely. Superficiality suggests a lack of real engagement or understanding.
Can't judge a book by its cover. Our next word is about established ways of thinking. Paradigm.
Paradigm. A typical example or pattern of something, a prevailing way of thinking or doing things.
A model or framework.
Right. The example connects to innovation. Technological innovation is creating a new paradigm, a new way of doing something, discusses innovation's impact.
It signifies a fundamental shift in how we think or approach something, a new worldview almost.
Exactly. A paradigm shift is a significant change in the dominant way of thinking.
A fundamental shift. Our next word is about concealment. Camouflage.
Camouflage. The act of disguising something to blend in with its surroundings, avoid detection.
Disguise. Concealment.
Yes. The example is from nature. Many animals have a natural camouflage that hides them from their predators. Illustrates a survival mechanism.
Blending in, becoming less visible to avoid danger. A clever deception.
Precisely. Camouflage is adaptation, allowing organisms to survive by not being seen.
Ingenious nature. Our next word looks like a typo in the source. Maybe somber.
Ah, yes. Somber seems unlikely. Assuming somber was meant, it describes a feeling of great sadness or seriousness.
Bleak, gloomy.
Right. The example, if it's somber, would be losing the final match. The whole team was somber for many days. discusses emotional impact.
That fits much better. Describes that heavy feeling of disappointment, sadness.
Exactly. Somberness reflects seriousness or sadness.
Makes more sense. Okay, let's move to a positive trait, keeping going. Perseverance.
Perseverance. Continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties.
Determination. Persistence.
Yes. The example is encouraging. Perseverance is not a long race. It is many short races, one after another. Emphasizes sustained effort.
Not giving up, even when it's tough. Breaking big challenges into smaller steps.
Precisely. Perseverance highlights resilience and commitment to a goal.
Not giving up. Our next word is about setting priorities. Prioritize.
Prioritize means to treat something as more important than others. Deal with it first.
Rank. Highlight.
Right. The example is about efficiency. Fast learning to prioritize tasks is vital in order to get work done effectively. Discusses time management.
Focusing time and energy on what matters most. Putting things in order of importance.
Exactly. Prioritization is key for effective time management and reaching goals.
Essential for getting things done. Our next word has a lighthearted feel. Whimsical.
Whimsical. Describes something spontaneously fanciful or playful, often charmingly or amusingly so.
Fanciful. Playful.
Yeah. The example encourages an attitude. It would be more rewarding and fulfilling if we have a whimsical attitude toward life. Suggests value and lightheartedness.
Embracing fun and imagination, not taking everything too seriously.
Precisely. Whimsy adds that touch of lightheartedness, creativity.
A bit of fun helps. Our next word describes a tricky situation. Dilemma.
Dilemma. A situation where you have to make a difficult choice between two or more options.
Predicament. Quandary.
Right. The example is personal. I found myself in a dilemma and really didn't know what to do for the best. Acknowledges decision challenges.
Exact. Being stuck between a rock and a hard place where no option seems great.
Exactly. A dilemma presents a challenge with no easy solution.
We've all been there. Our next word is about making something forbidden.
Outlaw.
Outlaw. To completely stop something by making it illegal.
Prohibit, ban.
Yes. The example is about protection. The management passed a bill outlawing the hiring of children under the age of 14. Discusses laws preventing harm.
Using legal power to prevent certain actions.
Precisely. To outlaw something makes it illegal, forbidden.
Necessary sometimes. Our next word suggests the ultimate best.
Definitive.
Definitive. Describes something considered the best or most authoritative of its type, providing a final answer.
Ultimate. Conclusive.
Right. The example offers realism, though. There are no definitive solutions to this problem of environmental damage. Highlights complexity.
It's about something being the last word, the most reliable answer.
Yeah.
Although, as the example shows, not all problems have one.
Exactly. While definitive suggests a final answer, many complex issues lack such clear-cut solutions.
Some problems are just tough. Our next word is about working together. Collaboration.
Collaboration. Working together with others for a common purpose.
Teamwork. Cooperation.
Yes. The example is about creation. The teacher wrote the book in collaboration with one of his students. Emphasizes shared effort.
Pooling resources and talents for a shared goal. Bringing different perspectives together.
Precisely. Collaboration often leads to richer results through diverse skills and viewpoints.
Great things happen together. Our next word is a formal request.
Summon.
Summon. To formally call for someone to come to a place, often officially.
Call requests.
Yes. The example is legal. She has been summoned to appear in court on charges of agitation. Explains the formal nature. A formal instruction to appear, often carrying legal weight.
Exactly. A summons is an official directive for someone's presence.
A serious thing. Our next word describes strength. Robust.
Robust describes something strong, healthy, resistant to damage or failure.
Sturdy, strong.
Right. The example is business performance. The company is able to generate stronger sales with robust profit margins. Discusses financial health indicators.
Having a solid foundation, able to withstand challenges and stay strong.
Precisely. Robustness implies resilience, ability to withstand adverse conditions.
A good sign for any company. Our next word involves international relations. Diplomacy.
Diplomacy. The ability to manage international relations through negotiation and discussion, avoiding conflict, tact, and skill.
Right.
The example highlights success. The regime avoided a war by successfully resolving the issues through diplomacy, emphasizes peaceful negotiation.
Finding peaceful solutions through dialogue, especially globally.
Exactly. Diplomacy is crucial for resolving international disputes, maintaining peace.
Avoiding conflict is huge. Our next word describes a gradual decrease Dwindle.
Dwindle. To gradually become smaller in size, amount, or strength.
Diminish. Decrease.
Yes. The example is workforce reduction. Over the year, the factory's workforce has dwindled from over 5,000 to a few hundred. Illustrates gradual decline.
A slow but steady reduction, a gradual fading away.
Precisely. To dwindle suggests a gradual, continuous decrease over time.
A significant drop over time. Our next word describes holding firmly to opinions, maybe too firmly. Dogmatic.
Dogmatic describes asserting opinions stubbornly, often arrogantly, as if they're the only correct ones.
Rigid. Opinionated.
Yeah. The example offers a caution. There is a danger of becoming too dogmatic about teaching religion. Advises against inflexible thinking.
Being closed-minded, unwilling to consider other views, presenting your opinions as absolute truth.
Exactly. Dogmatism hinders open discussion, consideration of alternatives.
Important to stay open. Our next word describes complete removal. Elimination.
Elimination. Complete removal or getting rid of something.
Removal, eradication.
Right. The example focuses on a social goal. It is considered that the best investment for poverty elimination is education. Discusses the ambitious goal of eradication.
Completely getting rid of something, wiping it out entirely.
Precisely. Elimination signifies thorough, complete removal.
A huge but vital aim. Our next word is about looking ahead. Anticipate.
Anticipate. To expect or predict something will happen.
Expect, foresee.
Yes. The example emphasizes preparedness. Experts say it's always best to anticipate a problem before it arises. Highlights proactive thinking.
Thinking ahead, trying to foresee potential issues and prepare for them.
Exactly. Anticipation allows for proactive planning, can mitigate problems.
Being prepared helps. Our next word describes confusion. Bewildered.
Bewildered describes being completely puzzled or confused.
Confused, perplexed.
Right. The example reflects modern times. We have been bewildered by the advancement in information technology, acknowledges the rapid pace of change.
That feeling of being totally lost, not understanding what's happening, often facing something complex or unexpected.
Precisely. Bewilderment is complete confusion.
Can be overwhelming sometimes. Our next word is a specific type of sale. Auction.
Option. A public sale where goods are sold to the highest bidder.
Public sale, bidding.
Yes. The example involves high value. A painting by Leonardo da Vinci was recently sold for $30 million in an auction. Highlights a specific transaction method.
A competitive way of buying and selling, where price is set by what people are willing to pay.
Exactly. An auction is a market mechanism using competitive bidding.
Fascinating way to set value. Our next word is about improving systems. Reform.
Reform. To make changes to something to improve it.
Improve. Amend.
Right. The example is societal impact. The economic reform brought about great change in the lives of the general people. Discusses the effect of systemic changes.
Making significant changes, aiming for positive improvement.
Precisely. Reform aims for positive change, improving existing systems or structures.
Change can be huge. Our next word describes something alluring. Seductive.
Seductive.
Yeah.
Describes something alluring and tempting, often hard to resist. Tempting, alluring.
Yeah. The example is about marketing. Advertising agencies use seductive images to get more attention from consumers. Analyzes persuasive techniques.
Something that draws you in, appeals to your desires, makes you want it.
Exactly. Seductiveness has power to entice, attract.
All about grabbing attention. Our next word gets to the core. Essence.
Essence. Refers to the most important or fundamental nature of something, the core of what it is.
Core, heart.
Right. The example focuses on belief. The essence of his opinion was that education should continue throughout life. Highlights core principles.
Getting down to the fundamental nature, stripping away non-essentials.
Precisely. The essence is the intrinsic, most important quality.
Getting to the heart of it. Our next word is about hindering growth. Inhibit.
Inhibit. To prevent or slow down the growth or development of something.
Hinder, restrict.
Yes. The example is about learning. Too much emphasis on memorizing can inhibit the growth of creative thinking. Discusses factors hindering progress.
Holding something back, preventing it reaching its full potential. Exactly. To inhibit is to restrain or impede progress.
Balance is key. Our next word describes mixed feelings. Ambivalent.
Ambivalent. Describes having mixed feelings or contradictory ideas about something or someone.
Uncertain, undecided.
Yeah. The example is long-held attitudes. He retained an ambivalent attitude toward the church throughout his long life. Acknowledges complex emotions.
Feeling two ways about something at once, unable to decide, or having conflicting emotions.
Precisely. Ambivalence reflects the complexity of human feelings, opinions.
Feelings aren't always simple. Our next word celebrates variety, diversity.
Diversity, the state of having a variety of different things or people included and treated fairly.
Variety, multiplicity.
Right, the example emphasizes importance. Diversity is of paramount importance to all ecosystems and all economies, underscores the value of differences.
Recognizing and valuing differences, understanding variety brings strength.
Exactly. Diversity enriches societies, ecosystems by bringing different perspectives, strengths.
Enriches so much. Our next word is about representing an idea perfectly.
Embody. Embody, to be a tangible or visible form of an idea, quality, or feeling.
Represent, symbolize.
Yes. The example is abstract concepts. No one would deny that music can embody great humane and religious themes. Discusses making intangible ideas tangible.
Giving physical form to an abstract concept, being the living representation of an idea.
Precisely. To embody is to give concrete form to something abstract.
Music conveys so much. Our next word describes a serious atmosphere.
Solemn.
Solemn. Describes something very serious and formal in manner, often with a sense of gravity.
Serious, grave.
Right. The example highlights commitment. All affiliates had to swear a solemn oath never to disclose the secrets of the company. Emphasizes significant undertakings.
Conveys a sense of deep respect and seriousness, often for important occasions.
Exactly. Solemnity reflects the serious, formal nature of an event.
Conveys gravity. Our next word relates to being subjected to something. Exposure.
Exposure refers to the state of being subjected to something often unpleasant or harmful.
Objection, contact. Yes. The example is health risks. There is substantial evidence of a link between exposure to the sun and skin cancer. Discusses potential harm.
Being subjected to a particular influence or substance, often with negative consequences.
Precisely. Exposure can refer to beneficial or harmful contact.
Important to know the risks. Our next word is about encouraging growth. Promote.
Promote means to support or actively encourage the growth, development, or progress of something.
Encourage, support.
Right. The example highlights a potential conflict. We should not sacrifice environmental protection to promote economic growth. Addresses balancing priorities.
Actively working to help something advance, but often needing to balance things.
Exactly. Promotion involves actively supporting progress, often requiring careful consideration of trade-offs.
Finding that balance. Our next word describes expressing praise. Laudatory.
Laudatory. Describes expressing praise and admiration.
Praising, complimentary.
Yes. The example is recognition. The laudatory announcement praised the team's efforts during the final contest. Highlights positive feedback.
Openly expressing approval and admiration for efforts or achievements.
Precisely. Laudatory remarks convey positive appreciation.
Good to acknowledge effort. Our next word is about levels of authority.
Hierarchy.
Hierarchy refers to a system ranking members by status or authority.
Ranking. Pecking order.
Right. The example is career progression. He worked his way up through the political hierarchy to become the party leader. Explains organizational structures.
A structured system with different levels of power and responsibility.
Exactly. A hierarchy organizes individuals based on authority or status.
Common in large organizations. Our next word describes clear communication. Articulate.
Articulate refers to the ability to express oneself fluently and coherently.
Eloquent. Clear.
Yes. A good example might be, the speaker gave an articulate presentation, clearly outlining the main points. Highlights importance of clear communication.
Being able to express thoughts and ideas clearly, concisely, effectively.
Precisely. Articulation is key for effective communication, conveying ideas clearly, a valuable skill. Our next word describes boldness. Audacious.
Audacious.
Yeah.
Describes showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks.
Daring. Courageous.
Yeah. The example is ambition. Their audacious goal is to compete with the luxury cars of other manufacturers. Appreciates ambitious endeavors.
Having the courage to pursue ambitious, maybe even seemingly impossible goals.
Exactly. Audacity involves bold, often unexpected risk-taking.
Aiming high can pay off. Our next word is about length of life. Longevity.
Longevity. Describes having a long lifespan.
Durability, long life.
Right. The example connects to health. Increasing our omega-3 intake may therefore support better health and longevity. Discusses factors influencing lifespan.
The length of time someone or something lives or lasts.
Precisely. Longevity refers to the duration of life.
Something we think about. Our next word is about carrying out plans. Execute.
Execute, to carry out a plan or course of action?
Implement, perform.
Yes. The example is technology. The system allows a computer user to execute multiple programs simultaneously. Discusses putting plans into action.
Putting plans into action, seeing them through.
Exactly. Execution is carrying out a plan.
Turning ideas into reality. Our next word can be deliberately controversial. Provocative.
Provocative describes something intended to arouse or stimulate a reaction, often a strong one.
Stimulating, inflammatory.
Right. The example highlights intent. In a deliberately provocative speech, they criticize the whole system of the economy, analyzes purpose behind statements.
Deliberately trying to stir things up, get people thinking or reacting strongly.
Exactly. Provocative statements or actions aim to elicit a strong response.
Often used to spark debate. Our next word describes potential danger.
Hazard.
Hazard refers to a potential source of danger or harm.
Danger. Risk.
Yes, the example is environment. The increasing amount of water pollution represents a serious health hazard. Highlights potential threats.
Something that has the potential to cause harm or injury. Precisely. A hazard is a potential source of danger.
Take seriously. Our next word is about improving existing structures. Renovate.
Renovate. To repair and improve something, especially a building.
Refurbish, restore.
Right. The example is practical. There are already plans to renovate the buildings and make them habitable. Discusses improvement, restoration.
Giving something a fresh look, making it better.
Exactly. Renovation involves repairing and improving.
New lease on life. Our next word describes intense anger. Wrathful.
Wrathful. Describes being full of or characterized by intense anger.
Furious, angry.
Yes. The example is from literature. In the Bible, we observe the wrathful and furious destruction of past civilizations. Explores strong emotional responses.
Deep, intense anger, often with a desire for retribution.
Exactly. Wrathfulness is intense anger.
Powerful, often destructive emotion. Our next word is about natural tendencies. Inclination.
Inclination refers to a natural tendency or urge to act or feel a particular way.
Tendency, leaning.
Right. The example emphasizes rational thought. We should be grounding our decisions on solid facts, not inclinations and intuitions. Highlights evidence-based choices.
Your natural instincts or preferences, what you're naturally drawn to.
Exactly. An inclination is a natural predisposition.
Logic over gut. Our next word describes making a bad situation worse. Exacerbate.
Exacerbate. To make a bad situation worse.
Worsen, aggravate.
Yes. The example is international relations. This attack will exacerbate the tense relations between the two nations. Highlights actions worsen conflicts.
Adding fuel to the fire, making an existing problem even more severe.
Exactly. To exacerbate is to intensify a negative situation.
Happens too often.
Yep.
Our next word describes someone reserved. Reticent.
Reticent describes being unwilling to speak freely. Reserved, reluctant to divulge information.
Unreserved, quiet.
Yeah. The example shows a change. At first, she was reticent, but later she relaxed and was more forthcoming for discussion. Discusses communication styles.
Hesitant to share thoughts or feelings, maybe due to shyness or privacy.
Exactly. Reticence implies reluctance to speak openly.
People express themselves differently. Our next word describes exclusive market control. Monopoly.
Monopoly refers to the exclusive possession or control of the supply or trade in a commodity or service.
Exclusive control, domination.
Right. The example is media. In the past, central government had a monopoly on television broadcasting. Explains exclusive control.
One entity having complete control over a market, no competition.
Exactly. A monopoly signifies exclusive control.
Powerful position. Our next word is about protection from harm.
Safeguard.
Safeguard. To protect someone or something from harm or damage.
Protect. Secure.
Yes. The example is consumer rights. The new laws encompass important safeguards for credit card customers. Discusses protective regulations.
Taking measures to ensure safety, prevent negative outcomes.
Exactly. To safeguard is to take protective measures.
Important for confidence. Our next word describes rapid increase. Exponential.
Exponential describes increasing or growing at a very rapid rate.
Rapid, accelerating. Right. The example is demographic. There has been an exponential increase in the world population this century. Illustrates very fast growth.
A rate of growth that gets increasingly faster over time.
Exactly. Exponential growth is characterized by rapid acceleration.
Significant trend. Our next word is about public support. Endorsement.
Endorsement Public approval and support of someone or something.
Approval, support.
Yes. The example is celebrity influence. Some sportspersons get contracts for product endorsements worth millions of dollars. Discusses power of public support.
Lending your name or approval to something, often to promote it.
Exactly. An endorsement signifies public support.
Lucrative business. Our next word is about figuring out something complex.
Decipher.
Decipher. To succeed in understanding, interpreting, or identifying something obscure or difficult.
Decode. Unravel.
Right. The example is complex ideas. Deciphering the paradox requires an individual look at each of these concepts, highlights understanding complexity.
Cracking a code or solving a puzzle. Figuring out something not immediately clear. Exactly. To decipher is to successfully interpret something difficult.
Breaking down the complex. Our next word describes something magnificent. Splendid. Splendid. Describes something very impressive and beautiful.
Magnificent. Glorious.
Yes. The example is visual. On Christmas Eve, the fireworks looked very splendid against the dark sky. Appeals to aesthetic appreciation.
Something grand and impressive. A real visual treat.
Exactly. Splendid describes something exceptionally beautiful.
A spectacular sight. Our next word is about reassurance. Assurance.
Assurance. A statement intended to inspire confidence or remove doubt.
Guarantee. Promise.
Right. The example is reliability. They gave an assurance that the work would be completed before the deadline. Discusses importance of reliability, trust.
Providing a guarantee or promise to alleviate concerns.
Exactly. Assurance aims to instill confidence.
Providing peace of mind. Our next word is about making clearer. Illuminate.
Illuminate. To light something up physically or clarify, make something clearer.
Clarify, explain. Yes. The example is uncovering wrongdoing. Hopefully, their investigation will illuminate the police corruption in the small town. Discusses bringing clarity to hidden issues.
Shedding light on something previously unclear or hidden.
Exactly. To illuminate is to make clear and understandable.
Shining light on important things. Our next word describes extreme happiness. Euphoric.
Euphoric describes feeling intensely happy and excited.
Overjoyed, ecstatic.
Right. The example is scientific potential. Scientists are euphoric at the potential success of genetic engineering on humans. Conveys great excitement.
A feeling of overwhelming joy and excitement.
Exactly. Euphoria is intense happiness.
Powerful emotional state. Our next word is protecting natural resources.
Conservation.
Conservation. The protection of natural resources and the environment.
Preservation, protection.
Yes. The example is regulations. Industrial development is not normally permitted in conservation areas. Highlights efforts to protect resources.
Looking after our planet, ensuring resources are used sustainably. Exactly. Conservation aims to protect and preserve natural resources.
Important for our planet's future. Our next word is taking something apart. Dismantle.
Dismantle. To take something apart, piece by piece.
Take apart, disassemble.
Right. The example is social structures. The authority worried that dismantling the welfare state would increase poverty. Discusses consequences of breaking down systems.
Taking something complex apart, often to understand it or get rid of it.
Exactly. Dismantling involves taking apart systematically.
Actions have effects. Our next word describes deeply moving sadness.
Poignant.
Poignant. Describes something evoking a keen sense of sadness or regret.
Moving. Touching.
Yes. The example connects to memory. The photograph awakens poignant memories of my painful days in the past. Connects to emotional experience.
It's something that touches you deeply, often bringing sadness or longing.
Exactly. Poignancy evokes strong emotion, often sadness.
Memories can be powerful. Our next word is biased info to influence opinion. Propaganda. Propaganda. Information, especially biased or misleading, used to promote a political cause or viewpoint.
Misinformation, spin.
Right. The example is competitive strategies. The company adopted an aggressive propaganda campaign against its rivals. Discusses intent and impact of biased info.
Spreading information, often with a hidden agenda to persuade people.
Exactly. Propaganda aims to influence opinions through biased information.
Important to be critical. Our next word seems like a typo, maybe intensify.
Yeah, intensify fits better. It means to make something stronger or more extreme.
Strengthen, escalate, yeah.
Right. The example would then be, the company proposed a new method to intensify the operation of wind energy. Discusses methods of enhancement.
It makes more sense. Boosting power or effectiveness.
Exactly. To intensify is to increase strength or degree.
Fits the example better. Our next word describes bad intentions.
Malicious.
Malicious, intending or intended to do harm.
Spiteful, wicked. Yes. The example is cyber threats. Recent incidents have demonstrated that malicious hackers are still active online. Highlights intent behind harmful actions.
Deliberately wanting to cause pain or damage.
Exactly. Malice is the intention to do harm.
Serious digital concern.
Yeah.
Our next word is giving something up in negotiation. Concession.
Concession refers to something granted or given up, often in response to demand or negotiation.
Compromise.
Right. The example is admitting defeat. The contestant made an emotional concession speech when it was clear that he had lost. Discusses yielding.
Giving in on a point to reach agreement or acknowledge defeat.
Exactly. A concession involves yielding on a point.
Part of many agreements. Our next word is facing something directly. Confront.
Confront. To deal with something difficult or unpleasant directly.
Face. Tackle.
Yes. The example is emotional processing. Justice departments encourage victims of crime to confront their emotions. Emphasizes addressing challenges directly.
Not avoiding a problem, facing it head on.
Exactly. To confront is to address directly.
Difficult but necessary. Our next word describes looking inward. Introspective.
Introspective describes looking inward, examining your own thoughts and feelings.
Reflective. Thoughtful.
Right. The example is art. The singer is famous for her introspective songs about failed relationships, discusses value of self-reflection.
Taking time to examine your own inner world.
Exactly. Introspection is self-examination.
Leads to understanding. Our next word describes strong wanting. Longing.
Longing. A strong desire or yearning for something.
Yearning desire.
Yes. The example connects to personal history. I was overwhelmed with longing for those innocent days of my early childhood. Connects to personal emotions, memories.
That deep feeling of wanting something you might not have.
Exactly. Longing is a strong, often wistful desire.
Often tied to nostalgia. Our next word is getting something back. Retrieve.
Retrieve. To get or bring something back. Regain possession.
Recover. Regain.
Right. The example is recovering lost items. The authority was trying to retrieve weapons left when the army abandoned the island. Highlights recovery.
Going and getting something lost or left behind.
Exactly. To retrieve is to get something back.
Getting back what was lost. Our next word describes something unclear.
Ambiguous.
Ambiguous. Describes something having more than one possible meaning. Not clear.
Unclear, vague.
Yes. The example is agreements. This agreement is very ambiguous and open to various suggestions and interpretations. Discusses challenges of unclear communication.
Language or situations understood in multiple ways, leading to confusion.
Exactly. Ambiguity leads to uncertainty in meaning.
Clarity is better. Our next word is about workings. Mechanism.
Mechanism refers to a system of parts working together, or a process by which something takes place.
System process.
Right. The example is complexity. The modern watch mechanism is extremely intricate and very difficult to repair. Highlights hidden complexity.
How something works, the underlying system or process.
Exactly. A mechanism is how something functions.
Details under the hood. Our next word is overcoming. Conquer.
Conquer. To overcome or defeat.
Defeat, overcome. Yes. The example is achievement. This heroic man was one of the first climbers to conquer Mount Everest. Appreciates overcoming significant challenges.
Achieving victory over something difficult.
Exactly. To conquer is to achieve victory over challenge.
Testament to determination. Our next word describes disrespectful language. Derogatory.
Derogatory describes showing a critical or disrespectful attitude.
Insulting, disparaging.
Right. The example is harmful communication. The disagreement contained a number of derogatory racial remarks and hate speech, condemns disrespectful language.
Using language intended to belittle or show disrespect.
Exactly. Derogatory remarks are belittling.
Words can hurt. Our next word is examples for study.
Specimen.
Specimen. A sample of something used for study or display.
Sample example.
Yes. The example is science.
Yeah.
The museum will pay large amounts of money for dinosaur fossil specimens. Highlights value of examples in learning research.
A representative example used for examination or study.
Exactly. A specimen serves as a representative example. Seeing is believing. Our next word is conflict. Combat.
Combat refers to fighting or to take action to reduce or prevent something undesirable.
Fight, battle.
Right. The example is social issues. The authorities are taking steps to combat racism among children in schools. Discusses efforts to address societal problems.
Actively fighting against something negative.
Exactly. To combat is to actively fight against.
Fighting for right. Our next word describes genuineness. Authentic.
Authentic. Describes something genuine or real.
Real. Genuine.
Yes. The example is experience. The visitor to the museum can enjoy a medieval banquet in an authentic setting. Values the genuine, real.
Something being what it claims, not fake or imitation.
Exactly. Authentic signifies genuineness.
Value in real experiences. Our next word is pleasing combination. Harmony.
Harmony refers to a pleasing combination of different parts, or a state of agreement or peaceful coexistence.
Agreement, balance.
Right. The example connects to well-being. The study shows strong harmony between patient health and patient happiness. Discusses importance of balance.
Things working well together, creating a pleasing or balanced result.
Exactly. Harmony signifies a pleasing or balanced arrangement.
State we strive for. Our next word captures complete attention.
Hypnotize.
Hypnotize means to capture the whole attention of someone, often putting them in a trance-like state.
Mesmerize. Captivate.
Yes. The example is therapy. The therapist hypnotized him and asked him about his traumatic experiences in the war. Discusses power of focused attention.
Holding someone's attention so completely, they're almost in a different state.
Exactly. To hypnotize is to hold attention completely.
Powerful mind tool. Our next word describes grace and style. Elegant.
Elegant describes something graceful and stylish in appearance or manner.
Sophisticated, graceful.
Yes. The example is natural beauty. We have never experienced such an elegant beach before I went to Hawaii. Appreciates refined beauty.
A refined and stylish kind of beauty.
Exactly. Elegance signifies grace and style.
Some places have charm. Our next word is discussions for agreement. Negotiation.
Negotiation. Discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. Discussion. Compromise.
Right. The example is international relations. The agreement between the nations was reached after a series of negotiations. Highlights finding common ground.
Talking things through to find a solution everyone agrees on.
Exactly. Negotiation aims for mutually acceptable agreement.
Vital skill. Our next word is judging value. Evaluate.
Evaluate. To form an idea of the amount, number, or value of something. Assess.
Assess, judge.
Yes. The example is skill assessment. It will take us a few months to fully evaluate your proficiency in English. Discusses assessment process.
Making a judgment about something based on careful consideration.
Exactly. To evaluate is to assess value or quality.
Necessary step. Our next word describes intense passion.
Fervent.
Fervent describes having or displaying passionate intensity.
Passionate, intense.
Right. The example is strong beliefs. Most successful people are fervent supporters of self-determination. Appreciate strong conviction.
Having deep, enthusiastic commitment to something.
Exactly. Fervency signifies intense passion. Passion drives success. Our next word is moral or legal duties. Obligation.
Obligation. A moral or legal duty to do something.
Duty, responsibility.
Yes. The example is ethics. We believe that all people have a moral obligation to defend human rights. Discusses ethical legal duties.
What you are morally or legally bound to do.
Exactly. An obligation is a moral or legal duty.
Important principles. Our next word is giving or adding. Contribute.
Contribute. To give or add something, especially money or resources, to a common fund or cause.
Donate. Provide.
Right. The example is participation. Students are encouraged to contribute articles to the college magazine. Highlights value of participation.
Playing your part, adding to a larger effort.
Exactly. To contribute is to give or add.
Every bit helps. Our next word describes knowledge for a select few.
Esoteric.
Esoteric. Describes knowledge understood by only a small number with specialized knowledge or interest.
Obscure. Arcane. Yes. The example highlights limited understanding. Its esoteric meaning is in the domain of the academic rather than the layman. Discusses specialized knowledge.
Knowledge not widely known or easily understood.
Exactly. Esoteric knowledge is specialized, not widely accessible.
Needs expertise. Our next word is overused phrases. Cliché.
Cliché refers to a phrase or opinion overused, betraying lack of original thought.
Overused phrase. Platitude.
Right. The example advises against them. Provide something new because your argument is just a cliché I've heard 1,000 times. Cautions against unoriginal expressions.
Expressions tired and unoriginal through overuse.
Exactly. A cliché lacks originality due to overuse.
Fresh perspectives welcome. Our next phrase is handling situations effectively.
Deal with.
Deal with. To take action to solve a problem or handle a situation.
Handle. Address.
Yes. The example is customer service. The sales assistants are trained to deal with customers in a friendly manner. Discusses practical interaction skills.
Knowing how to manage and resolve different situations effectively. Exactly. To deal with is to take appropriate action.
Good customer service essential. Our next word describes something wonderful. Glorious.
Glorious. Describes something fabulous or wonderful, often grand scale.
Magnificent, splendid.
Right. The example is victory. The newspaper article described the battle as a glorious victory for the nation, celebrates great achievements.
Something truly wonderful, deserving praise.
Exactly. Glorious describes something exceptionally wonderful.
Moments of triumph. Our next word describes lack of hope.
Bleak.
Bleak. Describes a situation lacking reasons to feel happy or hopeful.
Gloomy, depressing.
Yes. The example is future. Our future will be bleak unless we protect our environment and natural resources. Highlights potential negative outcomes.
A situation seeming hopeless without positive prospects.
Exactly. Bleakness suggests lack of hope.
Warning to heed. Our next word is getting rid of law systems.
Abolish.
Abolish. To officially end a law, system, or practice.
Eliminate, get rid of.
Right. The example is legal change. The Parliament has implemented a new law to abolish the death penalty for murder. Discusses significant legal changes.
Officially putting an end to something, making it no longer exist.
Exactly. To abolish is to officially end.
Major societal shift. Our next word describes overflowing enthusiasm.
Exuberant.
Exuberant. Describes feeling or showing great excitement and energy.
Enthusiastic, lively.
Yes. The example highlights vitality. Her poems, novels, and comedies are full of wit and exuberant vitality. Appreciates lively expression.
Being full of energy and excitement, showing lots of enthusiasm.
Exactly. Exuberance is great enthusiasm.
Joy to witness. Our next word is convincing someone. Persuasion.
Persuasion, the act of convincing someone to do or believe something.
Convincing. Inducement.
Right. The example is marketing. In the modern era, persuasion has become the most visible form of advertising. Analyzes influence techniques.
Using words and arguments to influence thoughts or actions.
Exactly. Persuasion aims to convince. Art of swaying opinions. Our next word is showing feelings openly. Manifest.
Manifest refers to displaying something openly and clearly.
Display, show.
Yes. The example is expressing dissatisfaction. The mine workers chose to manifest their dissatisfaction in a series of strikes. Discusses showing feelings publicly.
Making something evident or obvious.
Exactly. To manifest is to show clearly.
Actions speak louder. Our next word describes scornful humor.
Sardonic.
Sardonic. Describes being scornful and mocking in a humorous way.
Sarcastic, mocking.
Right. The example is past experiences. People usually make sardonic remarks or cynical observations about their past failures. Analyzes specific humor type.
Humor that's often cynical, a bit biting.
Exactly. Sardonic humor is scornful and mocking.
Often touch of bitterness. Our next word is job losses. Redundancy.
Redundancy refers to a situation where someone is no longer needed in their job, typically due to cost cuts or restructuring.
Job loss. Layoff. Yes. The example is workforce management. The enterprise is offering large payoffs to anyone accepting voluntary redundancy. Discusses economic factors.
Losing your job because your position isn't necessary anymore.
Exactly. Redundancy results from job no longer needed.
Difficult situation. Our next word is beginning something.
Commence.
Commence. To begin or start something.
Begin. Start.
Right. The example is schedules. The academic year commences at the beginning of October each year. Highlights start of important periods.
Formal way of saying start.
Exactly. To commence is to begin.
Marking new beginning. Our next word describes something dull. Insipid.
Insipid. Describes something lacking flavor or interest. Dull or flat.
Boring. Bland.
Yes. The example offers warning. Please do not be an insipid speaker who makes the audience fall asleep. Cautions against dullness.
Something bland and unexciting.
Exactly. Insipidness is lack of interest or flavor.
Keeping things engaging is key. Our next word is unlikely coincidences. Coincidence refers to a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection.
Chance occurrence. Fluke.
Right. The example is travel. By a strange coincidence, they happen to be traveling on the same train. Appreciates unexpected concurrences.
Two things happening at the same time purely by chance.
Exactly. A coincidence is an unexpected simultaneous occurrence.
Life throws curveballs. Our next word is convincing someone to do something. Persuade.
Persuade. To induce someone to do something through reasoning or argument.
Convince, influence.
Yes. The example is legal advice. The lawyer tried to persuade his client to accept the generous settlement offer, discusses art of convincing.
Using words to get someone to agree or do what you want.
Exactly. To persuade is to convince through argument.
Key skill. Our next word describes limitations. Constraint.
Constraint refers to a limitation or restriction.
Limitation, restriction.
Right. The example is resource limitations. Water shortages in the area will be the main constraint on the project development. Highlights limiting factors.
Something that restricts what you can do.
Exactly. A constraint is a limiting factor.
Challenge to overcome. Our next word is using something to advantage. Leverage.
Leverage refers to the power to influence a person or situation to achieve a particular outcome.
Influence, power.
Yes. The example is business dynamics. Supermarket chains have greater leverage than single outlet enterprises. Discusses sources of influence.
Using something to gain an advantage or achieve a desired result.
Exactly. Leverage is the ability to influence outcomes.
Often related to scale. Our next word describes something noticeable.
Perceptible.
Perceptible. Describes something able to be seen or noticed.
Noticeable, visible.
Right. The example is improvement. The past few years have seen a perceptible improvement in working standards. Highlights noticeable changes.
Something clear enough to be seen or noticed.
Exactly. Perceptible means able to be noticed.
Progress you can see.
Our next word is being alone. Solitude.
Solitude refers to the state or situation of being alone.
Aloneness, isolation.
Right. The example highlights potential peace. I enjoyed a few moments of peace in the solitude of the mountain. Discusses value of being alone.
The state of being alone, often by choice, for peace or reflection.
Exactly. Solitude is the state of being alone.
Time for introspection. Our next word is putting something at risk. Jeopardize.
Jeopardize. To put someone or something at risk of being harmed or damaged.
Endanger, risk.
Yes. The example is academic consequences. She knew that by failing her exam, she could jeopardize her whole career. Highlights potential risks.
Putting something valuable in a position where it could be lost or harmed.
Exactly. To jeopardize is to put at risk.
Actions have consequences. Our next word describes something incredibly wonderful. Miraculous.
Miraculous describes something very wonderful or amazing, like a miracle.
Amazing, wondrous.
Right. The example is unexpected success. It was a completely miraculous victory over a much stronger enemy. Celebrates unexpected successes.
Something so amazing it feels like it couldn't happen by ordinary means.
Exactly. Miraculous events are extraordinary, seemingly impossible.
Against all odds. Our next word is a great victory. Triumph.
Triumph refers to a great victory or achievement.
Victory, success.
Yes. The example is overcoming rivals. Eventually, they were able to achieve an outstanding triumph against their rivals. Recognizes significant achievements.
A significant and celebrated success.
Exactly. Triumph signifies a great victory.
Reaching the pinnacle. Our next word can mean a difficult task. Challenge.
Challenge refers to a difficult task or problem or an invitation to compete.
Difficulty test.
Right. The example is significant. Finding a solution to climate change is one of the greatest challenges in our time. Discusses significant difficulties.
Something that tests your abilities requires effort to overcome.
Exactly. A challenge presents a difficult task.
Defining issue of our era. Our next word is informal language.
Colloquial.
Colloquial. Describes language used in ordinary or familiar conversation, not formal.
Informal conversational. Yes. The example is language learning. It's challenging to understand the colloquial idioms of a foreign language. Discusses informal language use.
Everyday language people use when talking.
Exactly. Colloquial language is informal, conversational.
Part of everyday talk. Our next word is trickery. Deception.
Deception refers to the act of misleading someone or concealing the truth.
Trickery. Deceit.
Right. The example is investigation. Detectives followed the criminal for months, hoping to catch him in some deception. Highlights dishonest practices.
Deliberately trying to make someone believe something untrue.
Exactly. Deception involves misleading.
Sometimes necessary to uncover. Our next word is strongly encouraging. Urge.
Urge. To strongly advise or try to persuade someone to do something.
Encourage, advise.
Yes. The example is safety. Investigators urged that safety procedures on the spot should be improved. Discusses strong recommendations.
Strongly recommending a course of action.
Exactly. To urge is to strongly recommend.
Often good reason. Our next word describes extremely unpleasant. Repulsive.
Repulsive. Describes something arousing intense distaste or disgust.
Disgusting, revolting.
Yes. The example is sensory. The repulsive smell of the dead animals made the total atmosphere unpleasant. Highlights strong negative sensory experiences.
Something so unpleasant it makes you feel sick or disgusted.
Exactly. Repulsive things cause strong disgust.
Want to avoid. Our next word is ability to last.
Endurance.
Endurance. The ability to withstand hardship or stress over a prolonged period.
Stamina. Resilience.
Right. The example is competition. To win a strong competition, you may wish to increase your fitness and endurance. Emphasizes importance of resilience.
The ability to keep going even when difficult.
Exactly. Endurance is ability to withstand hardship.
Pushing through tough times. Our next word, again, can have negative connotations. Manipulate.
Yes, as we discussed, manipulate can mean skillful handling, but the example shows the negative side, controlling someone unfairly. He felt that he had been manipulated by the people he trusted most.
Using someone unfairly for your own advantage. Exactly. Manipulation in this sense involves unfair control.
Trust betrayed. Our next word describes peace and quiet.
Tranquil.
Tranquil describes being calm, peaceful, and undisturbed.
Peaceful, serene.
Yes. The example is improved relations. The relationship between the two counties had become tranquil after a very upsetting period. Highlights value of peace.
A state of calmness and quiet.
Exactly. Tranquility is peace and quiet.
Welcome state after turmoil. Our next word describes excessive self-admiration. Vanity.
Vanity refers to excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements.
Pride, conceit.
Right. The example offers moral stance. No animal should suffer or die for human arrogance, greed, and vanity. Discusses negative traits.
Having an excessively high opinion of yourself.
Exactly. Vanity is excessive self-admiration.
Qualities to avoid. Our next word is unwelcome entry. Invade.
Invade. To enter forcefully and without permission or intrude on privacy.
Intrude, encroach.
Yes. The example focuses on privacy. Most famous people often find their privacy is invaded by the press. Discusses intrusion. Entering a space or infringing on privacy without permission.
Exactly. To invade is to enter without permission.
Price of fame. Our next word describes something not typical. Abnormal.
Abnormal. Describes something deviating from normal or usual, often undesirably.
Unusual, irregular.
Right. The example is exploration. Astronauts have identified some abnormal phenomena in outer space. Highlights deviations from norm.
Something different from the usual or expected.
Exactly. Abnormal means not normal.
Discoveries beyond every day. Our next word is adapting to new conditions.
Adaptation.
Adaptation refers to the process of adjusting to new conditions or environments.
Adjustment. Modification.
Yes. The example is nature. The documentary described the adaptation of desert species to hot conditions. Discusses changing to suit surroundings.
Changing to survive or fit into a new situation.
Exactly. Adaptation is adjusting.
Key to survival. Our next word is making progress difficult. Hinder.
Hinder. To make it difficult for someone or something to do something or progress.
Obstruct. Impede. Right. The example is uncertainty. It's not clear whether the education reform will help or hinder our needs. Discusses obstacles to progress.
Getting in the way of progress.
Exactly. To hinder is to obstruct progress.
Potential roadblocks.
Yeah.
Our next word describes extreme pain. Excruciating.
Excruciating. Describes intensely painful.
Agonizing, unbearable.
Yes. The example is graphic. Witnesses describe to the police the brutal racial attack in excruciating detail. Highlights extreme suffering.
Pain almost unbearable.
Exactly. Excruciating pain is intense, unbearable.
Truly awful. Our next word is getting involved.
Intervention.
Intervention refers to the action of intervening, especially in a dispute or to prevent something.
Interference, involvement.
Right. The example is international politics. People in general do not support military intervention in the Civil War. Discusses getting involved in complex situations.
Stepping into a situation, often to try and change events.
Exactly. Intervention involves getting involved.
Often complex decision. Our next word is strengthening or supporting. Reinforce. Reinforce. To strengthen or support something.
Strengthen, support.
Yes. The example is positive feedback. It is important to acknowledge our successes and reinforce our positive feelings. Discusses strengthening beliefs.
Making something stronger or more effective.
Exactly. To reinforce is to make stronger.
Building positive momentum. Our next word describes something absurd. Ludicrous.
Ludicrous describes something so foolish, unreasonable, or out of place as to be amusing.
Ridiculous. Absurd.
Right. The example is humorous. The Ludicrous movie is about a fox that becomes the president of a country. Appreciates humorous absurdity.
Something so silly it makes you laugh.
Exactly. Ludicrous things are laughably absurd.
Sounds funny. Our next word is logical thinking. Reasoning.
Reasoning. The process of thinking logically to form a conclusion or judgment.
Logic. Thought process.
Yes. The example gives basis for thought. Their reasoning is based on the premise that all people are equally good and evil on Earth. Discusses foundations of thought.
Using your mind to think things through logically and sensibly.
Exactly. Reasoning is logical thought process.
Basis for conclusions. Our next word is discovering something hidden. Unearth.
Unearth. To find something by digging, or discover something previously hidden or secret.
Discover, reveal.
Right. The example is archaeological. The archaeologists have unearthed several fossils from the bottom of the riverbed. Highlights discovery process.
Digging up something buried or uncovering something hidden.
Exactly. To unearth is to discover something hidden.
Revealing hidden things. Our next word describes something delicate.
Delicate.
Delicate. Describes something easily broken or damaged or needing careful handling.
Fragile. Fine.
Yes. The example is environment. The rapid growth of urbanization has harmed our delicate ecological balance. Emphasizes fragility.
Something easily harmed or requires careful attention.
Exactly. Delicate things are easily damaged.
Need to protect. Our next word is financial ruin. Bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy. Describes the state of being unable to repay outstanding debts.
Insolvency. Ruin. Right. The example connects to economy. Nowadays, bankruptcy is a common phenomenon in an economic recession. Discusses economic vulnerability.
Being financially ruined, unable to pay debts.
Exactly. Bankruptcy is financial ruin.
Serious financial state. Our next word is bringing back to life. Revitalize.
Revitalize. To give new life, strength, or energy to something.
Refresh. Rejuvenate.
Yes. The example is urban planning. The mayor hopes to revitalize the neighborhood by providing better housing. Discusses renewal efforts.
Making something active or healthy again.
Exactly. To revitalize is to restore life or energy.
Breathing new life. Our next word describes physical skill. Dexterous.
Dexterous. Describes showing skill and adroitness, especially with hands.
Skillful, nimble.
Right. The example relates to aging. It is true that as people grow older, they generally become less dexterous. Discusses physical ability.
Being skillful and coordinated in movements.
Exactly. Dexterous people are skillful physically.
Admired in athletes, artisans. Our next word is payment for loss. Compensation.
Compensation. Something, typically money, awarded as recompense for loss, injury, or suffering.
Payment reimbursement.
Yes. The example is legal settlements. The family received compensation from the government for the damage to their property. Discusses financial redress.
Receiving something, usually money, to make up for harm or loss.
Exactly. Compensation is payment for loss.
Making amends. Our next word is making broad statements. Generalize.
Generalize. To make a general or broad statement by inferring from specific cases.
Oversimplify, conclude.
Right. The example cautions against it. We cannot generalize about the effects of the new drugs from one or two cases. Cautions against broad assumptions.
Making broad statements that might not be true in every specific case.
Exactly. To generalize is to make broad statements.
Avoid assumptions. Our next word describes being frozen with fear.
Petrified.
Petrified. Describes being so frightened one is unable to move. Terrified.
Terrified. Scared stiff.
Yes. The example is phobias. The girl was absolutely petrified at the thought of jumping off the bridge. Highlights extreme fear. So scared you can't move.
Exactly. Petrified means frozen with fear.
Paralyzing fear. Our next word is saying the opposite of what you mean. Irony.
Irony. The expression of meaning using language signifying the opposite, typically for humorous or emphatic effect.
Sarcasm. Satire.
Right. The example shows twist of fate. The irony is that his mistake will actually improve the team's current situation. Discusses literary device.
Contrast between what's said and what's meant.
Exactly. Irony involves contrast between literal and intended meaning.
Often dramatic effect. Our next word is giving importance. Emphasize.
Emphasize. To give special importance or prominence to something.
Stress. Highlight.
Yes. The example is supportive environment, a nurturing environment where people emphasize growth and development, discusses highlighting importance.
Drawing attention to something, making it stand out as important.
Exactly. To emphasize is to give prominence.
Making key points clear. Our next word describes great destruction. Devastating.
Devastating. Describes causing great destruction or damage.
Destructive ruin.
Right. The example is economic impact. It will be a devastating blow to the local workers if the factory closes. Highlights severe negative impact.
Something causing widespread damage and destruction.
Exactly. Devastating things cause great harm.
Significant setback. Our next word describes lack of interest. Indifference.
Indifference. Lack of interest, concern, or sympathy.
Apathy. Unconcerned.
Yes. The example is language awareness. Most native speakers of a language show indifference towards grammatical points. Discusses lack of concern.
Not caring one way or the other.
Exactly. Indifference is lack of concern.
Often taken for granted. Our next word is giving permission. Consent.
Consent. Permission for something to happen or agreement to do something.
Permission. Agreement.
Right. The example is crucial medically. Patients must be informed of the risks of the operation and give their full consent. Discusses importance of permission.
Giving agreement or permission for something to happen.
Exactly. Consent signifies agreement or permission.
Respecting autonomy. Our next word describes something doubtful. Dubious.
Dubious. Describes something hesitating or doubtful or not reliable. Suspect.
Doubtful. Questionable.
Yes. The example raises integrity questions. The government regulatory body was accused of dubious accounting practices. Highlights suspicion.
Something seeming suspicious or not entirely trustworthy.
Exactly. Dubious things are questionable.
Raising red flags. Our next word is unfair treatment based on group. Discrimination.
Discrimination. Unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people, especially based on ethnicity, age, sex, disability.
Prejudice, bias.
Right. The example is legal progress. The new legislation has contributed to preventing racial discrimination and inequality. Discusses efforts for fairness.
Treating people unfairly based on certain characteristics.
Exactly. Discrimination is unfair treatment.
Fight for equality. Our next word is becoming real or visible. Materialize.
Materialize. To become visible or real, appear.
Appear. Happen.
Yes. The example is achieving goals. If you desire to make your dreams materialize, you must take steps to make them real. Discusses making things happen.
Something, just an idea becoming a reality.
Exactly. To materialize is to become real.
Turning dreams real takes effort. Our next word describes logical, organized.
Coherent.
Coherent. Describes something logical and consistent.
Logical, understandable.
Yes. The example is writing skills. Many students appeared hardly capable of conducting coherent writing. Highlights importance of clear thought, communication.
Ideas fitting together clearly, understandably.
Exactly. Coherent ideas are logical, consistent.
Essential for conveying ideas. Our next word is gradual development. Evolution.
Evolution, process by which different organisms develop from earlier forms, or gradual development of something.
Development, progress.
Right. The example is human origins. Fossil records indicate that Africa was the site of early human evolution. Discusses gradual change over time.
Gradual change and development over time.
Exactly. Evolution is gradual development process.
Fundamental life process. Our next word is making something best it can be.
Optimize.
Optimize. To make the best or most effective use of a situation, resource, opportunity.
Maximize, improve.
Yes. The example is efficiency. If this optimized the production process, you could speed up the assembly line. Discusses efficiency, improvement.
Find the best way to do something for the best possible outcome.
Exactly. To optimize is to make as effective as possible.
Aiming for peak performance. Our next word, radically, emphasizes strong change.
Exactly. Radically is an adverb meaning fundamentally or completely. So it modifies another word to indicate a significant degree, like radically different.
Conveys fundamental, significant change. Our next word is deliberate exaggeration.
Hyperbole.
Hyperbole. Exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally.
Exaggeration, overstatement.
Right. The example offers motivation insight. I suppose using such hyperbole regularly makes her feel good about herself. Discusses figure of speech.
Using extreme exaggeration for effect.
Exactly. Hyperbole is intentional exaggeration for emphasis.
Often comedic or dramatic. Our next word is giving power. Empower.
Empower. To give someone power or authority.
Authorize. Enable. Yes. The example is education. Teachers also help empower kids to solve problems in their own ways. Discusses enabling others.
Giving people ability and confidence to control their own lives or situations.
Exactly. To empower is to give power or authority.
Giving tools to succeed. Our next word describes thinking too highly of yourself. Egotistical.
Egotistical. Describes being excessively conceited or self-centered, thinking you are better.
Arrogant, vain.
Yes. The example is relatable. My brother is very egotistical and thinks he's by far the best baseball player. Discusses negative traits.
Having an inflated sense of your own importance.
Exactly. Egotistical people have excessively high self-opinion.
Not always endearing. Our next word is sentimental longing for past. Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. A sentimental longing or wistful affection for a period in the past.
Homesickness, fond remembrance.
Right. The example connects to artifacts. Looking back at childhood photographs always brings back a sense of nostalgia, connects to personal memories, emotions.
That warm, fuzzy feeling thinking about happy pastimes.
Exactly. Nostalgia is sentimental longing for the past.
Bittersweet feeling. Our next word is making full again.
Replenish.
Replenish. To fill something up again.
Refill, restore.
Yes. The example is biological. All animals need sleep to replenish their energies for the next awakening.
Yeah.
Discusses renewal process.
Restoring something to its former level.
Exactly. To replenish is to fill again.
Essential for balance. Our next word describes being confused, perplexed.
Perplexed. Describes being completely baffled, very puzzled.
Suffused, baffled.
Right. The example is market analysis. The sudden ups and downs of the share market have left analysts perplexed. Highlights confusion situations.
Being completely confused, not understanding something.
Exactly. Perplexed means completely puzzled.
Sometimes things don't make sense. Our next word is welcoming guests warmly. Hospitality.
Hospitality. Friendly and generous reception and entertainment of guests, visitors, strangers.
Friendliness, generosity. Yes. The example suggests societal trend. In modern societies, we've been experiencing a decline in courtesy and hospitality. Discusses social interactions, values.
Being welcoming and generous to visitors.
Exactly. Hospitality is friendly reception of guests.
Values worth upholding. Our next word describes surprise attack. Ambush.
Ambush refers to a surprise attack by people lying in wait concealed.
Surprise attack, trap.
Yes. The example is security concerns. Fear of ambush prevents the police from going to high-risk mountainous areas. Discusses tactic of surprise attack.
Attacking someone unexpectedly from a hidden position.
Exactly. An ambush is surprise attack from concealment.
Dangerous tactic. Our next word describes exceptionally good. Outstanding.
Outstanding. Describe something exceptionally good.
Excellent. Remarkable.
Right. The example is performance. His outstanding performances set a new benchmark for athletes throughout the world. Celebrates exceptional achievement.
Being much better than the rest.
Exactly. Outstanding means exceptionally good.
Setting new standard. Our next word is careful examination. Inspection.
Inspection. Careful examination or scrutiny.
Examination, check.
Yes. The example is quality control. The goods looked fine, but on closer inspection, a number of items were found to be faulty. Discusses importance of thorough examination.
Looking at something very carefully to check condition.
Exactly. An inspection is careful examination.
Attention to detail key. Our next word is increasing speed.
Accelerate.
Accelerate. To begin to move more quickly. Increase speed.
Speed up. Hasten.
Yes. The example is movement. The car accelerated rapidly down the straight. Discusses increasing speed.
Going faster.
Exactly. To accelerate is to increase speed.
Picking up pace. Our next word describes great comfort expense. Luxurious.
Luxurious. Describes something very comfortable and expensive.
Opulent, lavish.
Yes. The example is travel. Our honeymoon was 3 days in Las Vegas at a luxurious hotel called La Mirage. Appreciates high comfort style. Something offering great comfort and style, often costly.
Exactly. Luxurious things are very comfortable, expensive.
Treat for senses. Our next word is polite behavior.
Courtesy.
Courtesy. Polite behavior showing respect for others.
Politeness, respect.
Yes. The example is formal communication. As a courtesy, we will send you a letter if there is any change to these arrangements. Discusses respectful social conduct.
Being polite and considerate of others.
Exactly. Courtesy is polite behavior.
Showing consideration. Our next word is ruling with authority.
Govern.
Govern. To conduct policy, actions, affairs of a state, organization, people.
Rule.
Control. Yes. The example touches self-control. The best of all governments is that which teaches us to govern ourselves. Discusses self-regulation concept.
Being in charge, making decisions for a group or area.
Exactly. To govern is to rule or control.
Ultimately, most important, governance. Our next word describes controlling rule. Authoritarian.
Authoritarian describes favoring or enforcing strict obedience to authority at expense of personal freedom.
Dictatorial, autocratic.
Yes. The example is political trends. In many nations, an increasingly authoritarian bureaucracy was gaining strength. Discusses specific governance style.
System where one person or group has total control, expects strict obedience.
Exactly. Authoritarian regimes enforce strict obedience.
Top-down approach. Our next word describes persistent preoccupation. Obsession.
Obsession, state of being preoccupied with, often worried about something or someone.
Fixation, compulsion.
Yes. The example links to societal issues. The obsession with homeownership is one of the causes of the housing market crisis. Discusses intense preoccupations.
Thinking about something constantly to an unhealthy degree.
Exactly. An obsession is persistent, dominating preoccupation.
When interests become consuming. Our next word describes being overcome, overwhelm.
Overwhelm, to defeat, conquer, or deeply affect with strong feeling.
Overcome, overpower.
Yes, the example is military might. Napoleon's army was robust enough to overwhelm nearly any potential enemy. Discusses impact of being overpowered.
Being completely overcome by something emotionally or physically.
Exactly. To overwhelm is to overcome or deeply affect.
Significant impact. Our next word describes something exciting. Dramatic.
Dramatic describes something sudden and striking in appearance or effect, or relating to drama.
Striking, theatrical.
Right. The example is environmental concerns. Environmentalists are alarmed by the dramatic increase in plastic pollution, highlights significant concerning changes.
Something very noticeable, often causing strong reaction.
Exactly. Dramatic things are striking, attention-grabbing.
Changes demanding attention. Our next word is traditional stories. Legend.
Legend refers to a traditional story, sometimes popularly regarded as historical but not authenticated.
Myth, folklore.
Yes. The example uses figuratively. Legend says it is absolutely great to work with people who are at the top of their field. Discusses traditional stories.
Stories passed down generations, often involving heroes or myths.
Exactly. Legends are traditional stories.
Stories shape understanding. Our next word is moving into or through. Penetrate.
Penetrate. To succeed in forcing a way into or through a thing or place.
Pierce. Permeate.
Yes, the example is market entry. They're hoping to penetrate the European market with their latest product. Discusses entering new areas.
Breaking through or entering into something.
Exactly. To penetrate is to enter or pass through.
Breaking into new territory. Our next word describes extreme poverty. Destitute.
Destitute. Describes being without basic necessities of life.
Penniless. Impoverished.
Right. The example links to social welfare. Taxpayers must pay health insurance premiums for the elderly and destitute. Discusses extreme poverty.
Utterly without money or resources.
Exactly. Destitute means lacking basic necessities.
State of great need. Our next word is positive future expectation. Optimism.
Optimism. Hopefulness and confidence about the future or success of something.
Hopefulness, confidence.
Yes. The example connects to global issues. International support has given rise to new optimism about the refugee crisis. Discusses positive outlook.
Having a positive outlook, believing good things will happen.
Exactly. Optimism is hopeful outlook.
Finding hope in difficulty. Our next word is recognizing or admitting. Acknowledge.
Acknowledge. To accept or admit the existence or truth of a fact or feeling.
Recognize, admit.
Yes. The example is personal feelings. Gradually, he began to acknowledge his feelings of envy toward his boss. Discusses active recognition.
Admitting or recognizing something, often something you might not want to admit.
Exactly. To acknowledge is to recognize or admit.
Being honest with yourself. Our next phrase describes incredibly surprising.
Mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing. Describes something extremely surprising or impressive.
Amazing. Astounding.
Yes. The example is unique perspective. The astronauts had mind-blowing views of planet Earth from the spaceship. Highlights extraordinary experiences.
Something overwhelming with its amazingness.
Exactly. Mind-blowing things are extremely impressive.
Perspective few, see. Our next word describes large or excessive amount. Plethora.
Plethora refers to a large or excessive amount of something.
Abundance. Excess. Right. The example highlights potential problem. The plethora of rules and regulations of the company is both contradictory and confusing. Discusses negative impact of too much.
Having too much of something, often overwhelmingly so.
Exactly. A plethora is large or excessive amount.
Sometimes less is more. Our next word is communicating indirectly. Convey.
Convey. To communicate a message, idea, or feeling.
Communicate, express.
Yes. The example highlights language limits. Words alone cannot convey the untold misery endured by people in these refugee camps. Discusses limitations of language.
Getting an idea or feeling across to someone else.
Exactly. To convey is to communicate.
Some things hard to word. Our next word describes stated clearly.
Explicit.
Explicit.
Yeah.
Describes something stated clearly and in detail, leaving no room for confusion or doubt.
Clear, specific.
Right. The example is instructions. The government has been quite explicit about education reform procedures, emphasizes clarity in communication.
Being very clear and direct, leaving no room for misunderstanding.
Exactly. Explicit statements are clear, detailed, making sure everyone understands. Our next word is set way of doing something. Procedure.
Procedure. Refers to an established or official way of doing something.
Method. Process.
Yes. The example is security measures. This new procedure will provide adequate safeguards against corruption. Discusses standardized ways of working.
Set of steps you follow to do something specific way.
Exactly. A procedure is established method.
Ensuring consistency, safety. Our next word is committing to do something. Undertake.
Undertake. To commit oneself to and begin a task or responsibility, take on.
Begin. Commit to.
Yes. The example is academic requirements. Students are required to undertake simple experiments in college. Discusses committing to tasks.
Taking on a task or responsibility, promising to do it.
Exactly. To undertake is to commit to doing something.
Taking responsibility. Our next word describes strikingly beautiful. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Describe something strikingly beautiful or attractive.
Beautiful, stunning.
Yes. The example is scenery. There's no denying the fact that this particular landscape looks absolutely gorgeous, appreciates visual beauty.
Something exceptionally beautiful.
Exactly. Gorgeous things are strikingly beautiful.
Feast for the eyes. Our next word is ownership. Possession.
Possession. Refers to the state of having, owning, or controlling something.
Ownership.
Belonging.
Right. The example explored happiness source. Happiness lies not in the mere possession of money, it lies in the delight of achievement. Discusses different happiness sources.
Having something as your own.
Exactly. Possession is state of owning.
More the material things. Our next word is sudden failure. Collapse.
Collapse. To suddenly fall down or give way, or fail suddenly and completely.
Fall apart, fail.
Yes. The example is economic vulnerability. A poor economy can cause the collapse of thousands of small businesses. Discusses sudden failures.
Something suddenly completely falling apart or failing.
Exactly. To collapse is to fall apart suddenly.
Devastating outcome. Our next word describes lacking serious purpose. Frivolous. Frivolous. Describes something not having any serious purpose or value.
Trivial. Silly.
Yes. The example is spending habits. My mother every so often spends her monthly pension on frivolous purchases. Discusses lighthearted spending.
Something unimportant, not worth taking seriously.
Exactly. Frivolous things lack serious purpose.
Treating yourself occasionally. Our next word is acknowledging achievement. Recognition.
Recognition. Action or process of recognizing or being recognized, or acknowledgement of existence, validity, genuineness.
Acknowledgement, appreciation.
Yes. The example focuses on achievement. The scientists deserve recognition for their innovative approach to the virus, highlights importance of acknowledging achievements.
Giving credit or acknowledging someone's work or achievements.
Exactly. Recognition is acknowledging something.
Credit where due. Our next word is bringing together. Assemble.
Assemble. To gather together in one place for common purpose or fit together separate parts.
Gather, put together.
Yes. The example is emergency response. Within hours of the tragedy happening, an emergency rescue team had been assembled. Discusses bringing people together.
Bringing separate parts together to form whole, or people gathering for a specific reason.
Exactly. To assemble is to bring together.
Moving together in need. Our next word describes shocking, horrifying.
Appalling.
Appalling.
Describes something shockingly dreadful, horrific.
Shocking.
Horrific. Yes. The example is conflict. We witnessed some appalling acts of barbarism in the Russian-Ukraine war.
Condemns extreme violence.
Something so bad it fills you with horror.
Exactly. Appalling things are shockingly dreadful.
Truly horrific events. Our next word is unwelcome entry interference. Intrusion.
Intrusion. Act of intruding. Unwelcome remark or action.
Invasion, encroachment.
Yes. The example focuses on privacy. Building a new airport nearby this area would be a noisy intrusion on their quiet lives. Discusses unwelcome disruption.
Interrupting or disturbing someone's peace or privacy.
Exactly. An intrusion is unwelcome entry or interference. Disturbing peace. Our next word is changing appearance to conceal. Disguise.
Disguise. To give a misleading appearance or impression to.
Conceal. Mask.
Yes. The example uses figuratively. Opportunity often comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary downfall. Discusses hidden potential.
Changing appearance so people won't recognize you, or hiding true nature.
Exactly. To disguise is to conceal true identity or nature.
Things aren't always as seem. Our next word describes intense joy. Thrilled.
Thrilled describes feeling very pleased and excited.
Excited, delighted.
Yes. The example is entertainment. The newly released movie has thrilled audiences throughout the country, highlights positive emotional responses.
Being extremely happy and excited.
Exactly. Thrilled means very excited.
Sign of successful film. Our next word is academic dishonesty.
Plagiarism.
Plagiarism. Practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing off as one's own.
Stealing, copying.
Right. The example is preventative measures. The administration has already adopted effective measures against plagiarism. Discusses intellectual property rights. Using someone else's work without credit.
Exactly. Plagiarism is unauthorized use of another's work.
Maintaining academic integrity. Our next word is taking a risk or new endeavor. Venture.
Venture. To dare to do something or go somewhere dangerous or unpleasant, or risk something on outcome.
Risk. Undertake.
Yes. The example encourages participation. Both public and private sectors are encouraged to venture into the project. Discusses taking risks for gain.
Taking a chance, often with possibility of reward and risk.
Exactly. To venture is to take risk or embark on something new.
Stepping into unknown. Our next word describes fluent, persuasive communication. Eloquent.
Eloquent describes fluent or persuasive speaking or writing.
Articulate, fluent.
Yes. The example highlights effective communicators. The interventions were made by the politically more skilled and eloquent participants. Highlights effective communication skills.
Expressing yourself clearly and persuasively.
Exactly. Eloquent speakers communicate effectively, persuasively.
Power of persuasive language. Our next word is mistreating someone. Abuse.
Abuse refers to cruel or violent treatment of a person or animal.
Mistreatment. Harm.
Yes. The example highlights consequences. Long-term abuse can lead to both psychological and emotional problems.
Yeah.
Condemns harmful behavior.
Treating someone badly or cruelly.
Exactly. Abuse is cruel or harmful treatment.
Deeply harmful action. Our next word is completely getting rid of something bad. Eradicate.
Eradicate. To destroy completely, put an end to.
Eliminate, wipe out.
Yes. The example is fighting disease. They are already battling to eradicate illnesses such as malaria and polio. Discusses efforts to eliminate problems.
Completely wiping something out.
Exactly. To eradicate is to destroy completely.
Aiming for complete removal. Our next word describes charming, captivating,
Enchanting.
enchanting. Describes something delightful and charming.
Charming, captivating.
Yes. The example is beautiful place. It is an enchanting cathedral that is filled with ancient architecture and art. Appreciates captivating beauty.
Something so lovely it captures attention and imagination.
Exactly. Enchanting things are delightful, captivating. Place holds attention. Our next word is making guesses without evidence. Speculation.
Speculation refers to forming theory or conjecture without firm evidence.
Conjecture, guesswork.
Right. The example highlights importance of facts. The news reports were published based on speculation and contained few proven facts. Discusses difference, assumption, fact.
Making guesses or forming opinions without solid proof.
Exactly. Speculation is conjecture without firm evidence.
Important to distinguish. Our next word is controlling according to rules. Regulate.
Regulate. To control or maintain rate speed or control supervised by rules regulations.
Control. Govern.
Yes. The example is food safety. The government regulates how much leave may be found in our fish supply. Discusses role of rules, control.
Setting and enforcing rules to control how something operates.
Exactly. To regulate is to control by rules.
Ensuring standards met. Our next word describes distorted, unnatural.
Grotesque.
Grotesque. Describes something comically or repulsively ugly or distorted.
Distorted, ugly. Yes. The example is unusual art. It is perhaps the most grotesque and repulsive art ever exhibited in the museum. Discusses unusual aesthetics.
Something very strange, often unpleasant to look at.
Exactly. Grotesque things are distorted, unnatural.
Often disturbing. Our next word describes bitterness over unfairness.
Resentment.
Resentment. Bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly.
Bitterness, anger.
Yes. The example connects to social issues. The problems of inflation and unemployment still cause a lot of resentment. Discusses feelings of injustice.
Feeling anger and bitterness when you feel treated unfairly.
Exactly. Resentment is feeling bitter indignation.
Understandable reactions. Our next word is publicly supporting a cause. Advocate.
Advocate.
To publicly recommend or support.
Support. Recommend.
Yes. The example is public health. The Food Standards Agency advocated a ban on advertising junk food to children. Discusses public support for causes.
Publicly speaking out in favor of something.
Exactly. To advocate is to publicly support.
Standing up for beliefs.
Our next word describes lack of hope. Gloomy. Gloomy describes feeling distressed or pessimistic.
Sad, depressing.
Yes. The example is predictions. The weather forecast for the coming week is rather gloomy and pessimistic. Discusses negative outlooks.
Feeling down and hopeless.
Exactly. Gloomy means feeling sad or without hope.
Hoping for better. Our next word is freedom to make decisions. Discretion.
Discretion. Quality of behaving speaking to avoid offense revealing private info, or freedom to decide what should be done.
Prudence. Choice.
Right. The example is admissions. The university councils have absolute discretion over which pupils they admit. Discusses power of making choices.
Ability to make your own judgments and decisions.
Exactly. Discretion is freedom to make decisions.
Authority to decide. Our next word is announcing publicly. Proclaim.
Proclaim, to announce something publicly or officially.
Announce, declare.
Yes. The example is recognition. The magazine proclaimed him to be the best player in baseball of the year. Discusses public announcements.
Making an official public announcement.
Exactly. To proclaim is to announce publicly.
Making widely known. Our next word describes quietly thoughtful. Pensive.
Pensive describes engaged in or reflecting deep or serious thought.
Thoughtful, reflective.
Right. The example connects to emotional impact. After the accident, she became pensive, hardly speaking to anyone. Discusses quiet reflection states.
Lost in thought, often serious or sad way.
Exactly. Pensive means deeply or seriously thoughtful.
Lost in thought. Our next word is money allocated for purpose. Allowance.
Allowance. Sum of money paid regularly, typically to meet specified needs or expenses.
Payment, stipend.
Yes. The example is work expenses. Employees who transfer to a different office will receive a transport allowance. Discusses allocated funds.
Said amount of money given for a particular reason.
Exactly. An allowance is regular payment for specific purpose.
Funds for specific use. Our next word describes constant irregular change. Fluctuate.
Fluctuate. To rise and fall irregularly in number or amount.
Vary. Oscillate.
Right. The example is attendance. Because of the increase in ticket prices, attendance at sporting events may fluctuate. Discusses unstable pattern.
Going up and down unpredictably.
Exactly. To fluctuate is to change irregularly.
Subject to change. Our next word describes impossible to satisfy. Insatiable.
Insatiable describes impossible to satisfy.
Unquenchable. Voracious.
Yes. The example is public interest. The public has an insatiable appetite for stories about myths and legends. Discusses unending desires.
Having a desire never fully satisfied.
Exactly. Insatiable desires can never be fully satisfied.
Always wanting more. Our next word is ability to do something well.
Competence.
Competence. Ability to do something successfully or efficiently.
Ability, skill.
Right. The example is skill development. The manager gradually developed the competence to deal with challenging tasks. Discusses skill development.
Having necessary skills and knowledge to do something well.
Exactly. Competence is ability to do something well.
Growing in ability. Our next word is making less severe. Mitigate. Mitigate. To make less severe, serious, or painful.
Alleviate, reduce.
Yes. The example is disaster relief. Emergency funds are being provided to help mitigate the effects of the flood disaster. Discusses efforts to reduce harm.
Making a bad situation better or less harmful.
Exactly. To mitigate is to make less severe.
Lessening impact. Our next word describes strong taste smell or sharp wit.
Pungent.
Pungent describes having sharply strong taste or smell, or sharp and caustic.
Sharp, acrid.
Right. The example uses figuratively for dialogue. She is a prolific writer and capable of writing pungent, funny dialogue. Discusses sharp wit.
Having strong, often sharp quality, physical or metaphorical.
Exactly. Pungent things have sharp quality.
Sharp, memorable quality. Our next word is ability to bounce back.
Resilience.
Resilience, capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Toughness.
Toughness, recovery, yes.
Yes, the example is facing difficulty. The rescue workers showed noteworthy resilience in dealing with difficult conditions. Discusses bouncing back ability.
Being able to recover quickly from setbacks.
Exactly. Resilience is ability to recover from difficulty.
Admirable quality. Our next phrase is sticking to rules. Adhere to.
Adhere to stick firmly, or follow, practice policy, faithful.
Stick to, follow.
Right. The example is lifestyle choices. Some active individuals who want to stay healthy adhere to a vegan diet. Discusses following guidelines.
Following something closely, consistently.
Exactly. To adhere to is to follow closely.
Sticking to plan. Our next word is providing more detail. Elaborate.
Elaborate, to add more detail concerning something.
Expand. Detail.
Yes, the example suggests brevity. We shall not elaborate on it any further, since much has already been said about this. Discusses adding detail or not.
Giving more information or explanation.
Exactly. To elaborate is to add detail.
Providing more context.
Yeah.
Our next word is keeping something. Retention.
Retention. Continued possession, control, or preservation of something.
Keeping. Holding on to.
Right. The example is human resources. They can provide the best training and discuss the issues affecting recruitment and retention. Discusses holding on to valuable assets.
Holding on to something, not letting go.
Exactly. Retention is keeping something.
Holding on to valuable. Our next word is moving upwards.
Ascend.
Ascend. To go up or climb.
Climb, rise.
Yes. The example uses figuratively for career. She ascended the corporate ladder because of her relationships with powerful executives. Discusses moving upwards process.
Moving to higher position or level.
Exactly. To ascend is to move upwards.
Climbing ranks. Our next word describes difficult to handle due to size, weight. Cumbersome.
Cumbersome. Describes something large or heavy, therefore difficult to carry or use. Unwieldy.
Unwieldy, bulky.
Right. The example is bureaucracy. The authority promised to eliminate cumbersome and unnecessary bureaucracy. Discusses things difficult to handle.
Awkward and difficult to manage.
Exactly. Cumbersome things are difficult to handle.
Making things complicated. Our next word is being different or special. Distinction. Distinction. Difference or contrast between similar things, people, or quality of being special, different.
Difference, uniqueness.
Yes. The example is academic fields. In academics, we observed a major distinction between arts and sciences. Discusses notable differences.
Clear difference or special quality.
Exactly. A distinction is noticeable difference or mark of excellence.
Recognizing differences. Our next word is agreeing with someone.
Concur.
Concur.
To agree with someone or something.
Agree. Coincide.
Right. The example is government policy. The government has agreed that more money should be spent on education. Discusses reaching agreement.
Having same opinion as someone else.
Exactly. To concur is to agree.
Finding common ground. Our next word describes utterly ridiculous.
Preposterous.
Preposterous. Describes something utterly absurd or ridiculous.
Absurd, ridiculous.
Yes. The example highlights silly idea. Selling dead insects was a preposterous idea and no one took it seriously. Highlights utterly ridiculous ideas.
So silly it's hard to believe.
Exactly. Preposterous things are utterly absurd. Hard to take seriously. Our next word is overstating something. Exaggeration.
Exaggeration. Statement representing something as better or worse than reality.
Overstatement. Inflation.
Right. The example is reporting there was a degree of exaggeration in his description of environmental disaster. Discusses active overstating.
Making something seem bigger or more important than actually is.
Exactly. Exaggeration is overstating truth.
Stretching truth. Our next word is moving forward. Advance.
Advance, to move forward or make progress.
Proceed. Progress.
Yes, the example is competition. Everybody was disappointed when the team failed to advance to the next round. Discusses moving towards goal.
Moving ahead or making progress.
Exactly. To advance is to move forward.
Making progress. Our next word describes playful misbehavior.
Mischievous.
Mischievous. Describes causing or showing fondness for causing trouble playfully.
Naughty, playful.
Yes. The example gives warning. The teachers warned us not to engage in mischievous behavior in the classroom. Discusses playful misbehavior.
Being playfully naughty. Exactly. Mischievous behavior is playfully troublesome.
Kids will be kids. Our next word is strong belief or legal guilt. Conviction.
Conviction. Firmly held belief, opinion, or formal declaration someone is guilty of criminal offense by verdict judge.
Belief, guilty verdict.
Right. The example is legal outcomes. Offenders are escaping conviction because the case against them was loosely presented. Discusses legal outcomes.
Strong personal belief or legal decision of guilt.
Exactly. Conviction can refer to strong belief or legal finding of guilt.
Legal judgment. Our next word is making things same.
Standardize.
Standardize. To make all things of one particular kind alike, same standard.
Uniformize. Regulate.
Yes. The example is processes. When we want everyone to do something the same way, we must standardize it. Discusses making things uniform.
Making things same for everyone.
Exactly. To standardize is to make uniform.
Ensuring consistency. Our next word describes stunningly beautiful. Stunning.
Stunning describes extremely impressive or attractive.
Beautiful, breathtaking. Yes. The example is beautiful find. Inside the cave, she found a stunning pair of gold and ruby drop earrings. Appreciates remarkable beauty.
Something so beautiful it takes breath away.
Exactly. Stunning things are remarkably beautiful.
Truly beautiful discovery. Our next word is careful examination. Scrutiny.
Scrutiny. Careful and thorough examination.
Examination.
Inspection. Right. The example is accountability. The project has come under intense scrutiny because of its environmental record. Discusses close inspection process.
Looking at something very closely, carefully.
Exactly. Scrutiny is careful examination.
Holding things up to light. Our next word is traveling across. Traverse.
Traverse. To travel across or through.
Travel across, cross.
Yes, the example is historical. The settlers had to traverse unsafe lands to reach ground that was suitable for farming. Discusses act of moving across.
Going across an area.
Exactly. To traverse is to travel across.
Journeying through. Our next word describes worthy of attention. Remarkable.
Remarkable describes something worthy of attention. Striking.
Notable. Extraordinary.
Yes. The example is admirable qualities. The soldiers showed remarkable patience and endurance throughout the battle. Highlights noteworthy qualities.
Something so good or unusual, it's worth noticing.
Exactly. Remarkable things are worthy of attention.
Qualities that stand out. Our next word is public opinion. Reputation.
Reputation. Beliefs or opinions generally held about someone or something.
Name. Standing.
Right. The example shows negative impact. The president's reputation was permanently tainted by the financial scandal. Discusses public image concept.
What people generally think about someone is something.
Exactly. Reputation is public opinion.
Hard to repair once damaged. Our next word is hiding something.
Conceal.
Conceal. To keep secret or prevent from being noticed.
Hide. Cover.
Yes. The example encourages openness. Instead of concealing your secret ambitions, it is better to show what you can do. Discusses act of hiding.
Preventing something from being seen or known.
Exactly. To conceal is to hide.
Bringing things into open. Our next phrase describes outdated. Old-fashioned. Old-fashioned describes something belonging to or characteristic of past time. Antiquated.
Outdated, old.
Yes. The example is changing trends. Old-fashioned ideas are being replaced with emerging trends and cultures. Discusses concept of being outdated.
Something no longer current or popular.
Exactly. Old-fashioned things are no longer modern.
Times change. Our next word is complete disappearance of species. Extinction.
Extinction. State or process of species becoming extinct.
Dying out, disappearance.
Right. The example highlights human impact. Modern farming methods have caused the total extinction of many insect species. Highlights serious environmental consequence.
Complete disappearance of type of animal or plant.
Exactly. Extinction is complete disappearance of species.
Devastating loss. Our next word is finding solution. Resolve.
Resolve. To settle or find solution to problem, dispute, contentious matter.
Solve, settle.
Yes. The example highlights challenge. It has been challenging to resolve the dispute over the working conditions. Discusses finding solutions process.
Finding answer or solution to something.
Exactly. To resolve is to find solution.
Overcoming obstacles. Our next word describes shocking, unacceptable, outrageous.
Outrageous describes something shockingly bad or excessive.
Shocking. Scandalous.
Yes. The example highlights harmful language. The story contains several outrageous slurs against the former president, highlights shocking, offensive content.
Something so shocking or unacceptable it makes you angry.
Exactly. Outrageous things are shockingly unacceptable.
Language too far. Our next word is particular way of looking. Standpoint.
Standpoint. Particular attitude toward or way of regarding something.
Viewpoint, perspective.
Right. The example emphasizes considering angles. Their argument is flawed from an intellectual, moral, and practical standpoint. Discusses different ways of looking.
But you see or consider something.
Exactly. A standpoint is particular perspective.
Seeing from different angles. Our next word is making as great as possible. Maximize.
Maximize. To make as large or great as possible.
Maximize. Increase.
Yes. The example is business goals. In order to maximize profit, the organization would seek to maximize production. Discusses pursuit of highest outcome.
Making something biggest or best it can be.
Exactly. To maximize is to make as great as possible.
Aiming for top. Our next word describes seemingly true. Plausible.
Plausible describes something seeming reasonable or probable.
Believable. Likely.
Right. The example is competing ideas. Sometimes strongly contrasting hypotheses can seem equally plausible. Discusses believability concept.
Something sounding like it could be true.
Exactly. Plausible things seem believable.
Seeming likely. Our next word is ability to be maintained.
Sustainability.
Sustainability. Ability to be maintained at certain rate or level.
Endurance viability.
Yes. The example is renewable energy. Solar energy has a high level of sustainability because sunlight is an endless resource. Discusses ability to endure.
Something that can continue to exist or be used without being depleted.
Exactly. Sustainability is ability to be maintained.
Crucial future concept. Our next word is protecting something. Shield. Shield. Protect from danger, harm, or annoyance.
Protect, guard.
Right. The example is literal. My mother uses sunglasses to shield her sensitive eyes from the sun's bright rays. Discusses protection methods.
Putting something between you and harm.
Exactly. To shield is to protect.
Keeping safe. Our next word describes full of energy, enthusiasm, zealous.
Zealous describes having or showing great energy or enthusiasm in pursuit of cause or objective.
Enthusiastic, passionate.
Yes, the example is personal success. Her zealous attitude made her a winner in overcoming every obstacle in life. Appreciates strong dedication.
Being very enthusiastic and dedicated to something.
Exactly. Zealous people are full of enthusiasm.
Passion and drive. Our next word describes preconceived negative opinion.
Prejudice.
Prejudice. Preconceived opinion not based on reason or actual experience.
Bias, discrimination.
Right. The example highlights negative basis. The party's policies were based on prejudice rather than on any logical ideology. Condemns unfair bias.
Having negative opinion about something before real knowledge experience. Exactly. Prejudice is preconceived negative opinion.
Harmful attitude. Our next word is falling sharply. Plummet.
Plummet. To fall or drop straight down at high speed.
Plunge, drop.
Yes. The example is population change. The town's population plummets when the students leave for the summer. Discusses rapid decreases.
Falling very quickly and steeply.
Exactly. To plummet is to fall sharply.
Sharp decline. Our next word describes using irony to mock.
Sarcastic.
Sarcastic. Describes using irony to mock or convey contempt.
Mocking, ironic.
Right. The example shows lack of this. They differ profoundly on many issues, but they have never been sarcastic to each other. Discusses specific verbal irony type.
Saying opposite of what you mean to mock or be unkind.
Exactly. Sarcastic remarks use irony to mock.
Cutting humor. Our next word is expressing regret for mistake. Apology.
Apology. Regretful acknowledgement of fault or offense.
Regret acknowledgement.
Yes. The example is leadership accountability. The head of state has made a public apology expressing his regret for the conspiracy. Discusses expressing remorse act. Saying you're sorry for something wrong you've done.
Exactly. An apology is expression of regret.
Taking responsibility. Our next word is completely removing something. Eliminate.
Eliminate. Completely remove or get rid of something.
Remove, eradicate.
Yes. The example is workforce reduction. The company plans to eliminate more than 1,000 workers in the coming year. Discusses complete removal.
Getting rid of something entirely.
Exactly. To eliminate is to remove completely.
Significant reduction. Our next word describes feeling sorrow. Mournful.
Mournful describes feeling or expressing sorrow or grief.
Sad, sorrowful.
Yes. The example connects to sound. The mournful sounds emerging from the funeral made everyone very sad indeed. Discusses expressions of sadness.
Feeling or showing deep sadness, especially after death.
Exactly. Mournful expresses sorrow or grief.
Sounds conveying deep sorrow. Our next word is causing severe damage.
Wreck. Wreck. To severely damage or destroy something.
Destroy, ruin.
Right. The example is potential negative consequences. The new amendments that we are debating could potentially wreck everything. Discusses potential severe damage.
Causing so much damage, something is ruined.
Exactly. To wreck is to destroy or severely damage.
Catastrophic outcome. Our next word is keeping within limits. Confine.
Confine. To keep someone or something within certain limits of space, scope, time.
Restrict, limit.
Yes, the example is setting boundaries. They must confine themselves to the list of items they've agreed on for this meeting. Discusses active limiting.
Keeping something within certain boundaries.
Exactly. To confine is to restrict or limit.
Staying within parameters. Our next word describes shining brightly.
Sparkling.
Sparkling describes shining brightly with flashes of light.
Glittering, shimmering.
Yes. The example is night sky. The sparkling stars are the best part of the night sky when there are no clouds. Appreciates visual brilliance.
Something shining with many bright flashes.
Exactly. Sparkling things shine brightly.
Beautiful sight. Our next word is someone injured, killed in accident. Casualty. Casualty refers to person killed or injured in war or accident.
Fatality, victim.
Yes. The example connects to environment. Water contamination is causing human casualties and considerable economic loss. Discusses harmful consequences.
Someone harmed or killed in tragic event.
Exactly. A casualty is someone harmed or killed.
Tragic outcome. Our next word is effort to achieve something.
Endeavor.
Endeavor. To try hard to do or achieve something.
Try, strive.
Yes. The example is creating good government. They endeavored to create a government that accurately serves its people. Discusses making serious efforts, making serious attempt to do something.
Exactly. To endeavor is to try hard.
Striving for goal. Our next word describes lack of interest. Indifferent.
Indifferent describes having no particular interest or sympathy. Unconcerned.
Apathetic, unconcerned.
Yes. The example is societal trends. Young people are becoming increasingly indifferent toward politics and religion. Discusses lack of interest.
Not caring about something.
Exactly. Indifferent people show no interest.
Growing concern for some. Our next word is fixed, oversimplified image. Stereotype.
Stereotype refers to widely held but fixed, oversimplified image or idea of particular type of person or thing.
Generalization, label.
Right. The example highlights prevalence. You are likely to spot many people who have stereotyped ideas about women. Discusses oversimplified beliefs.
Having fixed, often unfair idea about what certain type of person is like.
Exactly. A stereotype is oversimplified idea about group.
Often inaccurate, unfair. Our next word is successfully completing task. Accomplish.
Accomplish. To achieve or complete successfully.
Achieve, complete.
Yes. The example is time management. Any challenging task you need to accomplish will take more time than you think. Discusses achieving goals process.
Successfully finishing something you set out to do.
Exactly. To accomplish is to achieve successfully.
Seeing tasks through. Our next word describes easily influenced. Impressionable.
Impressionable describes easily influenced because of youth, sensitivity, lack of critical faculty.
Susceptible, easily influenced.
Yes. The example is protecting audiences. The new policy has been implemented to protect young and impressionable viewers. Discusses vulnerability to influence.
Easily affected by others' opinions or suggestions.
Exactly. Impressionable people are easily influenced.
Easily swayed. Our next word is similarities. Resemblance.
Resemblance refers to state of resembling or being alike.
Similarity, likeness.
Yes. The example is familial. She doesn't look exactly like her mother, but there is some resemblance. Discusses similarities.
Looking like or being similar to something else.
Exactly. Resemblance is similarity between things.
Shared traits. Our next word is distributing resources.
Allocate.
Allocate. To distribute resources or duties for a particular purpose.
Distribute. Assign.
Yes. The example is government spending. The government plans to allocate a significant amount of money for health education. Discusses resource distribution.
Setting aside or assigning resources for specific use.
Exactly. To allocate is to distribute for purpose.
Designating funds. Our next word describes understanding others' feelings. Empathetic. Empathetic describes showing ability to understand and share feelings of another.
Understanding, compassionate.
Yes. The example is professional skills. Doctors need to be both clinically competent and empathetic toward their patients. Discusses importance of understanding feelings.
Being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, understand how they feel.
Exactly. Empathetic people understand others' feelings.
Crucial trait for caregivers. Our next word describes contemptuous dislike.
Contempt.
Contempt. Feeling that person or thing is worthless or beneath consideration.
Scorn, disdain.
Right. The example connects to social class. He feels that wealthy people regard him with contempt because he's poor and illiterate. Discusses strong lack of respect.
Looking down on someone, something, feeling they are worthless.
Exactly. Contempt is feeling scornful dislike.
Negative, damaging emotion. Our next word is making known. Disclose.
Disclose. To make known to public something previously secret or private.
Reveal. Uncover. Yes. The example is transparency. Members of Parliament are required to disclose all their financial interests. Discusses Revealing Information Act.
Making something public that was previously hidden.
Exactly. To disclose is to reveal.
Ensuring transparency.
Yeah.
Our next word describes extremely funny.
Hilarious.
Hilarious describes extremely amusing.
Funny, comical.
Yes. The example is entertainment. Their new comedy show features hilarious sketches and a host of top celebrity guests. Appreciates great humor.
Something making you laugh a lot.
Exactly. Hilarious things are extremely funny.
Guaranteed laughs. Our next word is sudden widespread disaster. Catastrophe.
Catastrophe. Event causing great, often sudden damage or suffering. Disaster.
Disaster, tragedy.
Yes. The example is humanitarian crises. Authorities fear humanitarian catastrophe if food isn't delivered to the refugees soon. Discusses major disasters.
Terrible widespread disaster.
Exactly. A catastrophe is major disaster.
Devastating event. Our next word is union between groups. Alliance. Alliance. Union or association formed for mutual benefit, especially between countries or organizations.
Union-backed.
Yes. The example is political strategy. The two parties formed an alliance with each other to win the election. Discusses forming partnerships.
Forming partnership for shared goal.
Exactly. An alliance is union for mutual benefit.
Strength in numbers. Our next word is deep, careful thought. Contemplate.
Contemplate. To look thoughtfully for long time at or think deeply about.
Ponder. Consider.
Right. The example connects to personal reflection. My best friend's suicide caused me to contemplate my own joy and happiness. Discusses deep reflection.
Thinking deeply and carefully about something.
Exactly. To contemplate is to think deeply.
Time for introspection. Our next word describes suggesting bad things to come. Ominous.
Ominous. Describes giving impressions something bad or unpleasant are going to happen. Threatening.
Threatening, foreboding.
Yes.
Yeah.
The example connects to atmosphere. Because of the ominous music, we knew something bad was about to happen. Discusses feelings of foreboding.
Feeling something bad is about to happen.
Exactly. Ominous things suggest bad fortune.
Sense of impending doom. Our next word is delaying tasks. Procrastinate.
Procrastinate. To delay or postpone something.
Delay, postpone.
All right. The example is relatable. It's easy to procrastinate when the deadline seems infinitely far away. Discusses active delaying tasks.
Putting off things you should be doing.
Exactly. To procrastinate is to delay action.
We're all guilty sometimes. Our next word describes seeking revenge. Vindictive.
Vindictive describes having or showing strong or unreasoning desire for revenge.
Vengeful, spiteful.
Yes. The example gives strong illustration. My aunt is a vindictive woman who once burned all my uncle's clothes. Discusses desire for revenge.
Wanting to get back at someone who hurt you.
Exactly. Vindictive people seek revenge.
Destructive trait. Our next word describes lack of something essential. Deficiency.
Deficiency. Shortage or a lack of something essential.
Shortage, lack.
Right. The example is health. Excessive iron deficiency can cause developmental delay and growth retardation. Discusses impact of lacking essential elements.
Not having enough of something needed.
Exactly. A deficiency is lack of something essential.
Important to maintain balance. Our next word is giving energy, life. Invigorate.
Invigorate. To give strength or energy to.
Energize, refresh.
Yes. The example is economic policy. They argue that a cut in the tax rate would invigorate the existing economy. Discusses active revitalizing.
Making something feel more lively, energetic.
Exactly. To invigorate is to give energy to.
Boosting energy, activity. Our final word for today describes excessively proud.
Pompous.
Pompous.
Desire.
Describes affectedly and irritatingly grand, solemn, or self-important.
Arrogant. Conceited.
Yes. The example illustrates this. He was to some extent pompous and had a high opinion of his own capabilities. Discusses excessive self-importance.
Thinking you are much more important than really are.
Exactly. Pompous people are excessively self-important. And that brings us, I think, to the end of our deep dive into this vocabulary collection.
Yeah, we've certainly covered a lot of ground today, explored the meaning, the nuances.
A wide range of words. We really hope this exploration hasn't just, clarified the terms.
But maybe given you a deeper appreciation for how they actually work in English.
Right. Remember to maybe revisit these words. Think about how they apply to your own understanding, your communication.
Absolutely. And, keep exploring. Building vocabulary is always an ongoing journey.
It really is.
But
every new word you get a handle on opens up new avenues for understanding, for expressing yourself.
Definitely. Ultimately, a strong vocabulary at this advanced level, it really empowers you.
To engage with more complex ideas, yeah.
Express yourself with more precision, navigate more communication situations with confidence.
Couldn't have said it better.
Mm.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. You know that feeling when you're trying to explain something, maybe something a bit complex, and the words just, they're not quite hitting the mark.
Oh, definitely. Or maybe you want to sound, articulate in an email for work.
Exactly. But without sounding like you swallowed a dictionary, all stiff and formal.
Right. Not sounding like you.
We've all been there, I think. Maybe even grabbed a really fancy word hoping to sound smart, and it just kind of fell flat. Or worse.
Yeah. Guilty as charged sometimes.
Okay, so let's unpack this because that's what this whole deep dive is about today. We're going to explore some practical ways to build up your vocabulary.
And crucially, how to use those more sophisticated words naturally with confidence.
It's a really interesting area because, everyone wants to be understood properly, don't they?
Mm-hmm. To get those nuances across clearly. And it doesn't really matter if you're prepping for a test like the TOEFL or just want to communicate better day to day.
Precisely. And our main source for this, our kind of jumping off point, is this really useful YouTube video. It's from the TOEFL test channel.
Okay.
Now, hang on. If you're thinking TOEFL, not for me. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, the strategies in there are gold for anyone.
Right. The principles are probably universal.
Totally. It gets into building vocabulary in a smart way, looking at essential academic words you actually do hear around. Mm-hmm. Some more advanced stuff, and those, all-important linking words that help everything flow.
So taking the logic of test prep and applying it more broadly.
Yes. Think of it like that. We're extracting the best bits, the practical wisdom, and making it work for you, whatever your communication goals are.
And it makes sense because those tests, like TOEFL, they're basically checking if you can handle the kind of language used in academic settings or even professional ones.
Right.
So the skills understanding a good range of words, using them while they transfer directly.
Absolutely. So our mission here isn't just to, summarize a video. It's to dig into the actual strategies.
Give you things you can actually use.
Yeah, actionable stuff, specific examples you can try out straight away. We want to give you tools to boost your word power without it feeling like this huge, overwhelming task.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Well, let's start right at the beginning. Why bother? Why is having a decent vocabulary actually important?
That's the fundamental question, isn't it? And the video we're drawing from really hammers this home. A strong vocabulary isn't just, window dressing.
It's foundational.
Exactly. Foundational for doing well academically, sure, but also just for communicating clearly in general. They even argue that having a large vocabulary gets you, halfway to a great TOEFL score.
Which kind of makes intuitive sense. If you're constantly getting tripped up by words, either not understanding them when you read or listen, or just struggling to find the right word when you speak or write. It's a massive hurdle.
It really is. Even if your ideas are brilliant and your grammar's solid, if the words aren't there, you're limited.
Yeah, it holds you back.
And the video points out, for anyone aiming really high, say that 100-plus score on TOEFL, you absolutely need to be comfortable with what they call advanced vocabulary.
Those are more complex words.
Yes. The sometimes trickier ones that often make the difference between just good and excellent expression.
Okay, but here's something the video really stresses, and I think this is so key for anyone listening.
What's that?
It's not just about knowing a lost of fancy words. That's maybe half the battle, if that.
Right. You have to actually use them properly.
Yes, and naturally. They give this amazing example. Sentence, it's meant to sound smart, but it's just painful. Something like, having diligently engaged in rigorous intellectual pursuits, he assiduously devoted himself to. Oh, it goes on.
Yeah, I remember that bit. assimilating copious amounts of knowledge pertinent to the impending examination.
It's just, who talks like that? Seriously.
Nobody. And that's the point, isn't it? It shows the huge gap between just knowing words and actually communicating well.
Totally. The simpler ways, like he studied hard for the test and felt confident. Or even just he crammed and felt ready.
They're clearer, right? And they sound like a real person. Much more authentic.
So the message is, don't just collect impressive words like trophies. Learn to use them, strategically.
Use them to make your point clearer, not to muddy the waters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what kind of words should we focus on? The video breaks it down into a few helpful types.
Yeah, thinking in categories can make it feel a bit more manageable, I think. Gives you a framework.
Okay, first up, academic vocabulary. Now, this isn't necessarily super obscure jargon.
No, not usually.
It's more about the words that pop up again and again in academic texts, but also, frankly, in professional life. The video lists ones like individual, research, consistent, area, regulations, perceived, emphasis, undertake.
Right. You hear those in reports, presentations, even just more formal discussions. They're common, but carry a certain weight.
Yeah, they add a bit of precision, maybe. Like saying individuals instead of just people can sometimes shift the tone slightly.
It can, yeah. Lend a bit more formality or objectivity, useful tools to have.
Okay, so that's academic. Then we get to advanced vocabulary. This is where maybe those complex, tricky words fit in.
The ones that might make you pause.
The video actually starts with a little quiz, asking about words like supercilious, exacerbate, ubiquitous, myriad, zealous.
Right, throwing you in the deep end a bit.
Kind of, but then it goes deeper into 10 specific advanced words. Let's see. Adversely, foster, implement, ubiquitous, thrive, indispensable, affluent, alleviate, lucrative, resurgence.
Okay, quite a list. And these are where you can really start adding nuance, right?
I think so. Like the difference between saying something had a bad effect versus it adversely affected something.
Yeah, adversely feels a bit more specific, like it caused harm or a negative impact.
Let's look at a couple more. Adversely, meaning harmfully or unfavorably. The video example was skipping breakfast can adversely affect your energy level.
Makes sense. Or you could say the decision adversely affected morale.
Right. More precise than just negatively.
Yeah.
Then foster, like helping something grow.
Like fostering creativity or fostering a good relationship, it implies nurturing it.
Yeah, the video said, the teacher tries to foster a love of reading. It's that active encouragement idea.
Nice one. What else?
Basically putting a plan into action. We hear this a lot in business, don't we?
All the time. Implement a strategy. Implement changes. It's about doing, not just planning.
Then there's ubiquitous, which the video nicely described as meaning everywhere.
Like smartphones.
Exactly. The ubiquitous smartphone. Or the ubiquitous nature of advertising. It paints a much stronger picture than just saying something is very common.
It does. And thrive.
Means to flourish, to do really well, like
Yeah.
the business thrived after the changes, or plants thrive in sunlight. More vivid than just grow well or do well.
Okay, got it. These add a layer of sophistication.
Definitely indispensable, meaning absolutely essential. Can't do without it.
Like coffee in the morning for some people.
Yeah. Huh? Maybe. Or a good dictionary is indispensable for language learners. The video had a good example. Instead of AI is important, it used AI has become an indispensable part of most people's lives.
See, that adds impact. It elevates the statement.
It really does. Let's quickly run through the others. Affluent means wealthy.
An affluent neighborhood.
Right. Alleviate is to make suffering or a problem less severe.
Like alleviating pain or alleviating poverty.
Yep. Lucrative, producing a lot of profit. A lucrative deal, a lucrative career.
Okay. These are good words to know. Many aren't super difficult conceptually, but using them actively, that's the trick.
Exactly. And the last one was resurgence, like a comeback.
A revival, like maybe a resurgence in popularity for classic films.
Perfect example. So that gives you a taste of the advanced category. But the video also mentions idiomatic vocabulary.
Okay, so like idioms, reading cats and dogs.
Well, not just idioms in that sense. It's broader. It's about using those natural phrases and expressions that native speakers use all the time.
Right. The combinations of words that just sound correct, natural.
Yeah, things that make you sound authentic. The video gives examples like pet peeve
Your biggest annoyance.
and soft-spoken.
Someone with a quiet voice. Yeah, those aren't complex words individually, but using the phrase correctly is key for sounding natural, especially when speaking.
Totally. It reminds you that language isn't just single words, but how they fit together.
How they pattern.
And briefly, it touches on campus vocabulary, like academic advisor, prerequisites, dorms.
Domain-specific stuff.
Exactly. Just as an example that, every field or context has its own essential terms you need to know to navigate it.
Makes sense. The words you need depend on where you are and what you're doing.
Okay, so we've got these categories: academic, advanced, idiomatic, even context-specific stuff. But how do we actually learn them? And more importantly, use them. The video had some good practical tips.
Yeah, I liked that it focused on active learning, not just staring at lists.
Right. First suggestion: test yourself. Sounds obvious, maybe, but actively checking if you know the words helps.
Forces recall.
The video even mentions a free PDF resource they offer with the top 100 TOEFL words. We're not linking it here, but the idea is sound. Find good, curated lists relevant to your needs.
Focusing your study definitely makes sense. Target the high-frequency or most useful words first.
Another great tip they gave was paraphrasing. Take a simple sentence and try to say the same thing using some of your new vocabulary.
Oh, I like that. Active application.
Yeah. Instead of like, the room was crowded, maybe try the venue was teeming with attendees, or the hall was densely populated, whatever fits the context.
That really helps move words from just passive recognition, understanding them when you hear them, to active use, where you can actually produce them yourself.
Big difference. They also suggested this kind of game while watching their video. Pause when a new word comes up. Try to guess the meaning before they explain it.
Keeps you engaged, right? Active participation.
Yeah. And they use that method to introduce a whole load more words, like condescending, obtain, emerge, crucial, advantageous, frivolous. Let's see, terrestrial, mandatory, escalate, plummet. Quite a few.
Wow, yeah. A rapid fire round? Any that stood out to you there?
Well, condescending is interesting. That attitude of looking down on someone, thinking you're superior.
Yeah, it's a very specific kind of negative behavior.
And frivolous, meaning not serious, maybe unnecessary, like a frivolous purchase or a frivolous lawsuit, the opposite of essential.
Good distinction. What about terrestrial?
Relating to Earth, which, as they pointed out, helps you remember extraterrestrial, is the opposite, not from Earth. Little connections like that can help.
Definitely. Understanding nuances, maybe even where words come from, makes them stickier and helps you use them more precisely.
Absolutely. Okay, so after vocabulary itself, the video takes a really important turn. It focuses on something vital for making sense, whether you're speaking or writing.
Let me guess. Linking words.
You got it. The power of linking words.
The glue that holds it all together. They're kind of the unsung heroes, aren't they?
Totally. They guide your listener or your reader, showing how your ideas connect, like signposts.
Without them, things can sound very choppy.
Exactly. The video proves this really well. They show someone answering a question, I think it was about being outgoing in business.
Right.
The first try has no linking words, just short, separate sentences. And it sounds, well, robotic. Really hard to follow the logic.
Yeah, that lack of connection makes it tough to see how one point relates to the next, even if the ideas themselves are okay.
Then they show a second version. This one uses loads of linking words, but they're all super formal ones, like moreover, nevertheless, to exemplify.
The trying too hard version.
Pretty much. It connects the ideas, sure, but it sounds incredibly unnatural for speaking, like someone reading a very stiff academic paper out loud.
Which really highlights that point about register, doesn't it? Choosing language that fits the situation. Formal linking words are fine for writing, maybe, but often sound weird in conversation.
Definitely. And then there's a third mistake they show. Using linking words kind of randomly or incorrectly.
Sprinkling them in without really thinking.
Yeah. It just sounds forced and, again, unnatural. Like you know you should use them, but you haven't quite grasped how.
So it's not just using them, but using them correctly and appropriately. Makes sense.
The big takeaway from the video on this is, for natural spoken English, aim for maybe 2 or 3 informal linking words per answer or section. Don't overdo it.
Keep it simple, keep it natural.
Right. And then they give this brilliant list broken down by function. First, the basics, but still super useful. First, second also, but so.
The workhorses.
Yeah.
Simple, clear, effective.
They even show how to build a decent answer just using those. Then for giving examples, for example, to illustrate, like such as.
Useful for clarifying a point.
For contrasting ideas.
Yeah.
Unless, even if, well, even though. They'd be
Yeah.
good example sentences for these two, showing them in context.
Showing opposition or conditions.
For explaining reasons or results. That's why, as a result.
Simple cause and effect.
And for adding another point. Also, on top of that, having them categorized like this makes it much easier to think, okay, what am I trying to do here? Add, contrast, explain.
Yeah, seeing them grouped by function is really helpful, and seeing them in example sentences makes it way clearer how you'd actually slot them into your own speech.
The video also quickly mentions linking words more common in writing, however. For example, for instance, moreover, in addition, therefore, although in contrast. You know the ones.
Right, the more formal options.
And the advice is basically the same. Use them carefully, use them correctly, use them to make things clearer, not just to sound fancy. Don't overdo it.
It's all about enhancing coherence, really, whether speaking or writing. They're tools, and like any tool, you need a bit of skill to use them well.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, let's quickly boil down the main takeaways for you, the listener.
Right. First big one. Building a wide vocabulary, it's genuinely important. For understanding things, for expressing yourself clearly, both in academic stuff and just...
But. And this is a big but. Just knowing words isn't enough. You've got to learn to use them right, accurately, naturally. Don't force those fancy words in where they don't fit.
Second point, thinking about vocab in those different buckets, academic, advanced, idiomatic, that can help you organize your learning and build a more rounded skill set.
Yeah, focus where you need it most, maybe. And finally, don't forget those linking words.
Crucial. Using them well, especially the more informal ones when you're speaking, makes a huge difference to how clear and smooth you sound.
So what can you actually do right now listening to this?
Well, how about actively trying things out?
Good idea. Maybe pick one or two of the advanced words we discussed, like implement or alleviate, and consciously try to use them this week. In an email and a conversation. See how it feels.
Or try that paraphrasing exercise. Take a simple sentence you say often and think, how could I say this with a bit more precision using a word like indispensable or adversely?
Or even just the pause and guess idea when you read or watch something. See a new word, take a second, guess the meaning, then look it up. Makes it more active.
That kind of active experimentation is really how you make new language your own. It moves from theory to practice.
Definitely. Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on.
Go on.
Think about this. When you deliberately work on expanding your vocabulary, on choosing your words more carefully, it's not just about sounding better or getting a good score.
What else is it about?
Could it actually sharpen your thinking too? By giving you the tools to grasp and express more subtle ideas, more nuanced perspectives, to engage with complexity on a deeper level.
That's an interesting angle, language shaping thought.
So the question for you is, what specific parts of your own vocabulary, if you focused on improving them, do you think would make the biggest difference, not just to how you sound, but to how effectively you can think through and share your ideas?
That's a good reflective question, an invitation to think about your own communication and where you want to grow.
Well, thanks for diving deep with us into the world of words today.
Yeah, it's been fascinating.
We really hope the insights we've pulled out will help you communicate with a bit more confidence, a bit more clarity, whatever you're doing.
Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us a fantastic collection of YouTube transcripts all about TOEFL vocabulary, and well, that's exactly where we're heading today. Our mission is to pull out the most effective strategies and the most important vocabulary nuggets to help you build your word power for the TOEFL exam without feeling like you're, drowning in definitions.
Yeah, consider this your guided tour through the world of TOEFL vocabulary. Your sources, they really cover the essential ground. Understanding why a strong vocabulary is just crucial. Breaking down the types of words you need to know.
Right.
Academic, advanced, those useful for campus life. Even some idiomatic expressions. We'll also be looking at clever ways to learn, like using prefixes and, pinpointing key terms in subjects like astronomy, biology, zoology, and history.
Okay.
Plus, we can't forget how linking words kind of tie everything together in your speaking and writing.
Exactly. So for you who wants to learn efficiently and get the real substance, this is designed to, cut through the noise. We're after those core understandings and the aha moments that make TOEFL vocabulary click. Okay, so let's dive in. The very first thing that just jumps out from your sources is just how fundamental vocabulary is for this test.
That's absolutely right. One of the channels you shared made a really strong statement.
Yeah.
A good vocabulary is halfway to achieving a stellar TOEFL score.
Wow, halfway.
Yeah, they emphasize that if your vocabulary is limited, it can really hold you back, potentially capping your scores around, say, 22 or 23 in each section. Doesn't matter how well you know the format or other strategies.
Which really makes you think it's not just a nice to have, it's foundational. And it's not just for the reading passages, is it? Your sources are clear that advanced vocabulary plays a vital role across the board.
Oh, absolutely. Understanding lectures and conversations and listening, expressing yourself fluently when you speak, and of course, writing with precision. It impacts everything. What's interesting, too, is that the sources even offer a kind of quick check.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they throw out words like supercilious, exacerbate, ubiquitous, myriad, and zealous.
Okay, some hefty words there.
Right. And the point is, if any of those feel unfamiliar, it kind of highlights areas where focusing on advanced and academic vocabulary will likely give you the biggest boost.
Because those are the types of words that pop up in the academic stuff on the test.
Exactly. They're common in those contexts.
Okay, so we understand why a strong vocabulary is so important for all parts of the TOEFL. But, one of the videos you shared made a really insightful point that goes beyond just knowing what words mean. It's about how you actually use them.
Precisely. You can't just memorize a whole bunch of impressive sounding words and then try to force them into your speaking or writing.
Right.
It often comes across as unnatural and frankly doesn't necessarily get you a higher score. The example given was this rather convoluted sentence about studying. Very formal, kind of stiff.
Yeah, I remember that. It sounded a bit like someone trying way too hard.
Exactly. And the source wisely points out that a simpler, more natural way to say the same thing, something like, he studied hard for the test and felt confident in his preparation, is much more effective.
So the key insight here is less about just knowing fancy words and more about using maybe even slightly simpler advanced words smoothly, appropriately.
Spot on. It's about context and natural flow. And your sources give some great examples of advanced words used well. Adversely, foster, implement, ubiquitous, thrive.
Indispensable, affluent, alleviate.
Lucrative, resurgence. Seeing them in sentences really helps you get the hang of their nuances and how to actually use them correctly. It's that subtle shade of meaning.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's look at the different categories of essential TOEFL vocabulary that your sources highlighted. It seems like breaking things down might make the whole task feel a bit less overwhelming.
Absolutely. And the materials you share do a great job of this. First up, we have campus vocabulary.
Right, the university setting stuff.
Exactly. This is super relevant because so many of the listening and speaking scenarios are set right there. Think about talking with an academic advisor or discussing course prerequisites.
Or dorm life, roommates, getting transcripts, choosing electives.
All that everyday campus stuff. Being familiar with those terms can really boost your comprehension and help you respond more naturally.
Yeah, you need the vocabulary of the environment they put you in. Okay, then we have academic vocabulary. This seems pretty central.
Definitely. As you'd expect, it shows up a lot in academic texts, so crucial for reading and writing, but also really important for understanding lectures in the listening section and expressing academic ideas when you speak.
So words like
individual, research consistent, area, regulations, perceived, emphasis, undertake, the fundamental building blocks of academic talk. Understanding these is pretty essential.
Got it. The next category mentioned is idiomatic vocabulary. Now, one source offered a really helpful clarification here, which I appreciated. It's not about memorizing really obscure idioms.
That's such a key distinction. You don't need to master rare, complex idioms. It's more about using English that sounds natural and correct, especially when you're speaking.
So less like, it's raining cats and dogs, and more.
More like common, natural ways of expressing ideas. The examples given were things like pet peeves for something that annoys you, or soft-spoken for someone with a quiet voice. These make your English sound more fluent, less like a direct translation.
Okay, natural phrasing. And finally, the big one, advanced vocabulary. One source called this a game changer and the fastest way to improve your TOEFL score. That's quite a claim.
It is, but it makes sense, right? Having a strong command of more complex words lets you express yourself with more precision and understand more nuanced language when you hear or read it.
So examples here were things like occur, accumulate.
Yeah, collide, copious, divert, frivolous, hindrance. Expanding your vocabulary in this area can really elevate your performance across all the sections, gives you more tools.
Okay, so we've got a good handle on the different types of vocabulary to focus on. Now, let's talk about some effective learning strategies. One that really stood out was using prefixes, like as a tool to unlock word meanings.
Yes. This is such an efficient way to grow your vocabulary. As one source explained, understanding common prefixes is like having a key to figure out unfamiliar words.
Right.
Take pre, meaning before. Once you know that, words like preview or pre-med just become much easier to grasp, even if you've never seen them before.
And the materials you shared go into a really detailed breakdown of loads of common prefixes with examples relevant to academic stuff and potential TOEFL words. It's almost like learning a code.
Exactly. A code to unlock groups of words. They cover a wide range. For instance, anti meaning against. Think antisocial, anti-freeze, antibody.
And contra also means against, like contradict, contravene. Then extra meaning beyond, like extracurricular, extraterrestrial.
And the list keeps going. Bene, meaning well or good, right? Benefit. Benevolent, ante, meaning before, as an antecedent, indicating wrongly or badly. Mistake, misunderstand, misinterpret.
That's a common one.
Very common. And a really helpful one is meaning again. It's in so many words. Reabsorb, reappear, rebuild, reconsider. And nouns too, like resurgence, reconstruction, renewal. Understanding just instantly expands your recognition.
We also have ex, meaning out, like exclude, expel, and variations like co-com, con, meaning together, or with, compliant, combine, connect, convene.
Don't forget hyper, meaning excessively hypertension, hyperactive, inter meaning between, like intercultural, intervene, de meaning from or down, like descend, deduct, dehydrate.
Then post for after, postgraduate, post-war. We already mentioned before precedents, prehistoric, trans, meaning across or beyond, like transport, transatlantic, transmit. And finally, pro, meaning forward, before, or supporter, propose, proponent, proliferate.
It's actually quite remarkable how many words start to make sense just by knowing these common beginnings.
It really shifts your learning, doesn't it? From just pure memorization to something more, strategic.
Yeah.
Insightful.
Exactly that. You develop a deeper, more adaptable grasp of vocabulary. It's about understanding the building blocks.
Okay, now, one of the most fascinating and I think potentially very useful sections of the materials you shared focuses on subject-specific vocabulary. This seems incredibly valuable for tackling those reading passages and listening lectures that get into specific academic fields.
Absolutely. Being familiar with the common vocabulary in these fields can give you a real leg up. Let's start with astronomy. Your sources provided a list of, 22 terms?
Yes, something like
covering
that.
everything from the basics like celestial and orbital to more specific concepts like comets and black holes.
And they clarified things like the difference between a galaxy, that huge system of stars, and a star cluster, which is smaller, and supernova, the explosion, versus a nebula, which is more like a star nursery.
Right, and they explain the difference. Asteroids, too, those rocky bodies. And the sequence of meteorite, how it goes from space to atmosphere to ground.
Oh, okay. That's useful.
Yeah, and meteor showers, constellations, light years for distance. They also touched on star life cycles, red giants, white dwarfs, and the difference between a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse.
Right, moon blocking sun versus earth blocking sun for the moon.
Exactly. And terms like luminosity for brightness, stellar relating to stars, and interstellar for space between stars. It gives you a solid foundation for astro topics.
Okay, moving on, we have biology with a longer list, about 40 terms. This feels like a really common TOEFL topic area.
It definitely is. We start with fundamentals like enzymes, symbiosis, receptors on cells, and mitosis, cell division.
Genome, that's the complete genetic material, right?
That's it. And stimulus, or stimuli in plural, anything causing a response. Hormones like estrogen, the idea of mutation.
Key processes too, like photosynthesis in plants and cellular respiration for energy.
Homeostasis, keeping things stable inside. Chloroplasts in plant cells.
Yeah.
Then genetics. The difference between genotype, the genes themselves, and phenotype, what you actually see.
Okay, genotype, phenotype. Got it. And eukaryotes versus prokaryotes? Cell types?
Fundamental cell types, yeah. Eukaryotes are more complex, like our cells. Prokaryotes are simpler, like bacteria. Then speciation, how new species evolve. And the basic building blocks. Amino acids for proteins, lipids for fats.
Neurons for nerves, cortisol for stress hormone.
Right. Anaerobic means without oxygen. Secrete means to release something. RNA and DNA, the vital genetic molecules. Environmental terms like moisture, foliage. Animal behaviors like hibernation and the verb hibernate.
Forage for finding food. And scavenger.
Exactly. Forager's the one doing it. Scavenger eats dead things. Internal versus external structures. Species, the basic classification unit.
Then the bigger picture. Food web, food chain, ecosystem.
And how organisms get food. Heterotrophs can't make their own. That includes herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. Autotrophs can make their own, like plants.
Crustacean, like crabs and shrimp.
Yep, those aquatic invertebrates. And finally, biodiversity, the variety of life. It's a pretty comprehensive list for biology.
It really is. Okay, next up, zoology. And wow, this one includes a massive list, 109 terms. Looks like the focus here is heavily on classifying animals.
Exactly. With that many terms, the source wisely organizes it into categories with examples. It starts with the big split. Invertebrates, no backbone like sea anemones, snails, insects. And vertebrates, with the backbone.
And within invertebrates, they highlighted arthropods, segmented bodies, hard covering.
Right. Insects, spiders, crustaceans fall into that. Then for vertebrates, mammals, warm-blooded, fur hair, live birth, milk examples like hamsters, whales, bats, us. Birds are another class, eagles, owls, ostrich.
Reptiles next, cold-blooded, scaly skin. Snakes, lizards. And they made that distinction between turtles, mostly water, and tortoises, mostly land.
Yes, helpful distinction. Crocodiles, alligators too. Then amphibians living in water and on land, cold-blooded frogs and toads were the example.
And fish aquatic, gills, fins, clownfish, trout, etc.
Beyond classes, there are general terms like specimen, warm-blooded versus cold-blooded. The technical terms are endotherms and ectotherms. Diurnal for day-active animals, nocturnal for night-active ones.
Dietary habits again. Herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, plus the adjectives carnivorous, herbivorous.
Wild versus domesticated animals, pretty straightforward. Rodents, mammals with those sharp front teeth like mice, rats, squirrels, and the predator-prey relationship.
Habitats too. Aquatic, freshwater like lakes, saltwater like oceans versus terrestrial meaning land, with specific examples like deserts, rainforests, and marines specifically for ocean sea animals.
Right, differentiating marine from just general aquatic. And a few extras like humpback whales, vultures were thrown in. It's a lot, but categorized it makes sense.
Yeah, it gives a solid framework for zoology passages or lectures. Okay, last subject area, history. About 50 terms here, also nicely categorized.
Yes, organized by theme. First, people in an ancient city. Roles like ruler, courtiers, priests, artisan, merchant, peasant. Even terms like count, colonel, delegates, and invader.
Then a category on exploration, terms like inhabitants, colonists, native tribes, hunters and farmers, hunter-gatherers, nomadic life, bison herds.
And settlements coastal, inland, sedentary, nomadic, distinguishing those. The idea of territory comes through as well.
And the final theme, maybe inevitably, conflict.
Sadly common in history, yes. Terms like oppression, seize power, exploit often leading to revolt or uprising, the role of an ally, the act to resist.
Bigger events like upheaval, invasion, outcomes like defeat, conquer, surrender, and then the aftermath, restore, abolish, and reign for the period of rule.
Using them in a story-like context, as the source did, really helps cement their meaning.
The subject-specific vocabulary is such a goldmine. It really shows how knowing key terms for these common academic areas can give you a real edge.
Definitely. It's about anticipating the language you'll likely encounter.
Now, shifting gears slightly, but still crucial, the power of linking words. Your sources really stress how important these are for fluency and clarity.
Oh, absolutely. They're the bridges, right? Connecting sentences, connecting paragraphs, they make everything flow better, make it more logical, less robotic.
And the sources specifically talked about speaking, pointing out 3 common mistakes. First, just not using enough linking words. Makes you sound choppy, hard to elaborate.
Exactly. Mistake number 2, using really formal ones, like moreover, nevertheless. They sound stiff in conversation, much better suited for writing.
Okay. And the third mistake.
Using them incorrectly or just too much, trying to stuff them in where they don't fit. It sounds forced, unnatural.
Yeah.
The advice is basically aim for maybe 2-3 informal linking words used naturally in your response.
And they gave examples of good, basic ones for speaking.
Yeah, simple but effective ones like first, second, also, but so. Showed how to use them. Also, words for giving examples, like for example, like such as. And words for complex sentences and integrated speaking, unless, even if, while.
Useful for those tasks, and words for explaining reasons.
That's why, as a result. And for adding another point, also, on top of that, all with example sentences, which is helpful.
Okay, so that's speaking. What about writing? Similar advice.
Pretty similar. Don't force them in, use them confidently. Too many or overly formal ones can actually hurt your score, not help it.
And they provided a list of essentials for writing, like 18 of them.
Yeah, a focused list categorized by function. For contrast or complication, the big one is however. very versatile, shown in general, and integrated essay examples.
For giving examples, the same familiar ones. For example, for instance, such as,
For adding information, moreover, and in addition, showing how to build on points. For showing result consequence as a result, therefore.
and for introducing contrasting ideas in complex sentences.
Although while, they note while is super useful, and even though. Examples provided, including for the integrated essay context.
What about starting sentences with contrasting ideas?
In contrast, on the other hand, again, with an eye towards the integrated essay. And finally, they reminded us not to forget the basics. But, so also, even though, showing how you might combine a couple naturally.
Wow, this detailed look at linking words for both speaking and writing feels incredibly practical. Mastering these seems like it could really boost your scores.
It really can. It's about making your communication smooth, coherent, logical, Erwin, which is a huge part of demonstrating English proficiency.
Well, for you, our listener, this deep dive into TOEFL vocabulary acquisition has been quite the journey through a lot of info. Let's try to bring it all together with some key takeaways.
Yeah, I think this exploration really hammered home that building TOEFL vocab isn't just about, memorizing endless lists. It's much more about understanding the types of words that matter most.
Right, like campus, academic, advanced.
Exactly. And using smart strategies like prefix analysis to unlock meanings, plus recognizing how vocabulary works in those different academic subjects you might see.
Astronomy, biology, history. And crucially, mastering those linking words to express your ideas clearly and, importantly, naturally in both speaking and writing.
So thinking about actionable steps for you listening,
Yeah.
maybe start by reflecting on how familiar you feel with those different vocabulary categories we talked about.
Good idea. And seriously, consider adding prefix analysis to your study routine. It can unlock so many words.
And maybe make a point to explore those subject-specific lists when you do practice materials. See them in context.
And finally, really pay attention to how you use linking words. When you practice speaking, when you practice writing, aim for that natural integration, not forcing them in.
Definitely. And as you continue your TOEFL prep, here's maybe a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
How might really understanding the relationships between words through things like prefixes, roots, how they're used in context, how might that not only boost your score, but also just genuinely enrich your overall understanding of English and all the diverse subjects it covers? That's a great point. It really goes beyond just test taking, doesn't it?
Right.
It moves into the realm of true language mastery.